Canadians are depending on us to have their backs, to do what we need to do. That to do what we need to do, we need more of us. I know how to win. I know.
Hey everyone.
Know how
Watching
to
the
build
NDP national debates,
conservatives.
and of course,
we need a leader
their
who
feed
can
is
win.
glitching, so not my fault.
We need a leader who can rebuild, and I am that leader.
And you
so
were
I hope they
bang
can
on
get
time
this corrected.
with that 45 seconds. So that is a good start to this. Avi Lewis, you're up next.
Friends, we're at a fork in the road. Donald Trump is stomping all over the world, stoking fear and insecurity. And while Mark Carney defies him in Davos, at home, liberals and Tories are caving to the U.S. and letting corporations hoard profits and hike the price of everything. So now the NDP has a clear choice. The same approach that brought us to an historic low in the last election, or a new vision that is unmistakably bold and courageous. Our campaign has proved this path is popular and can win. We've signed up members in 338 federal ridings, broken fundraising records, and hosted huge events packed with hundreds of people from the length and breadth of this land. Our party's comeback has already begun.
Glitching.
Okay, not bad. Only a couple seconds over, but we'll let you have that.
But
Mr.
this
Lewis.
is the
we are now going to go to
national debate for the leader
Tonight,
of the
you'll
NDP
hear a lot
party.
of agreement on some really great policy. But unless we actually lead this country, those policies won't happen. And I'm tired of being Canada's social conscience. You see, our party's drifted away from the working class, and the working class just doesn't see themselves in us anymore. So they went and found another home. And so we need to bring them back. Otherwise, our ideas will remain just that, ideas. That's why I want to bring the party back to its working class roots, so we can win back the seats that we've lost.
Remember, Jagmeet Singh was the leader, and he pretty much crashed the NDP party. So
thank you.
This is them looking for a new leader. They're debating to put a new leader in as the leader of the NDP party.
Thank you so much. I'm Tennille Johnston, a social worker, a city councillor from Campbell River, BC, and the first Indigenous person ever to be represented on a federal leadership ballot in Canadian political history. And I'm so grateful that that piece of history now lives with the NDP. I've traveled this country coast to coast to coast, and it has been absolutely amazing visiting tiny communities all over Canada. But the tragic part is that people are struggling everywhere you go. The cost of rent, groceries, gas, it's astronomical, and it just keeps going up and up and up. It's unacceptable that in a G7 country, we have over 10% of our population living in poverty. That's absolutely ridiculous.
Over the last 10 years.
That's why we need a guaranteed livable basic income. We need a wealth tax. We have to end the fossil fuel subsidies.
No, we don't need a basic universal income.
In this country
that means no one will be working.
Thank you, Tennille.
Everyone will just be relying on that welfare system.
Tony McQuail.
I'm Tony McQuail. I'm a parent and grandparent, a farmer for over 50 years, and a New Democrat for 46. Our campaign is focused on 4 R's: representation, dealing with the first past the post; regeneration, stop damaging and start healing the earth; redistribution, stop sucking out our collective wealth and start distributing it fairly; and redesign, shift from a corporate capitalist consumer ideology to a conservative community.
Sounds like more of a Marxist ideology.
From ground level. It's a very different perspective from those who have been making destructive decisions from the corner offices of corporate towers. We need radical change now.
Spooky, good to see you. Radical change. We need radical change. Holy mackerel.
Let's get into the debate portion. Here is our first theme: economic security and national sovereignty. We heard a few of you mention Donald Trump in here. A reminder, after I ask the first question here,
they don't like
Trump. Each will have 45 seconds to respond, and then we're going to move into that open debate portion, which is 8 minutes long. So nobody has seen these questions to start off with. Let's start with this. The topic has largely been dominated by the U.S. President Donald Trump and the tariff war, and by Prime Minister Carney's efforts to retool Canada's economy to reduce our dependence on the United States. So here's the question. If Donald Trump picks up the phone tomorrow or jumps on and posts on Truth Social threatening more tariffs to pressure Canada, as a leader, would you retaliate immediately, or negotiate quietly? And if retaliation is the answer, what does it look like? Is it a targeted tariff? Is it energy? Be specific, please. So,
I'm
Mr. Lewis,
from now
you
on
are
going to
first
block anyone
with
that
45
speaks
seconds.
disparagingly about
Well,
me.
first I'd call the two Democratic socialists who have shared private meetings with Donald Trump, Claudia Sheinbaum in Mexico and Sohran Mamdani from New York, and figure out how they charmed him, because that seemed to go incredibly well. I think Canada needs to stand firm and project a kind of moral clarity on the world stage that reflects an independent foreign policy and an independent domestic policy. We need a Canadian shield to Trump-proof our economy, and retaliating doesn't look like a tariff war. That's playing into the much stronger force on the other side of the border. We need to rebuild our economic independence with a Green New Deal, a Canadian Green New Deal that will create millions of good, unionized, green energy jobs and many other pieces of economic independence I hope we can talk about throughout tonight.
Heather McPherson, your 45 seconds.
Listen, Donald Trump is the biggest threat that is facing our country right now, both economically and our sovereignty. And the way that we need to push back on that is to build our own economic sovereignty.
Like Carney.
You know, we need to be investing in workers. We need to be building with Canadian materials. We need to be building with good Canadian unionized jobs. You know, we need to raise wages. We need to legislate workers' rights into our laws. We need to be investing in building that infrastructure that will build up our country. You know, that's the east-west grid. That's rail. That's renewable energy. It's that investment, that economic sovereignty that will actually protect us from Donald Trump. That's how we fight back against Donald Trump.
Rob Ashton, 45 seconds.
We don't need to
So
fight
I'm a
back
travel
against
British
Donald
Columbia.
Trump. We need
I
to
met
work
this
with
mill
him.
worker, and his biggest concern was about losing his job either in a week or in a month. And
this is
that's how a
the
lot
new
of Canadians feel
Democratic
right
Party.
But that's because of liberals
one of the
and
three
conservatives
major
ruling on behalf
parties
of
in
their
Canada,
CEO friends
and they're trying
ruling
to
class.
elect a new
So we have
leader
to
for the
change
party.
that.
So this is
And how are we going to change that? That's with my jobs promise.
a
And
debate
the reason I bring that up right now
of the
is
people
because
vying
that's
to become
how we
the
fight
leader.
Donald Trump, is by
And
creating economic
I'll tell you
security
who's
in this
gonna
country,
win.
by creating good jobs, Canadian industries for Canadian workers, by standing up against him.
Basically, this
and
is the
finding
left.
new,
Like it's
fair
pretty
trade partners
pretty
in
much
this
even
world.
more left than the
And that's how
Liberal
you stand
Party,
up to a bully.
this NDP party.
Okay, Tony McQuail, your 45 seconds.
The tariffs are an incredible opportunity for us to reconsider what our economy is
Listen
for,
closely to what they say.
relocalize it and redesign it so that it works for Canadians and not Canadians working to enrich the global elites. We have to be thinking about sovereignty in a realistic
doesn't like
terms. And in
corporations
2026,
or democracy.
sovereignty is not going to come out of the barrel of a gun or out of a pipeline. It's going to come from reinvesting in education, healthcare, childcare, and regenerative agriculture to ensure that we actually can meet and are meeting the needs of Canadians inside. And we need to develop a nonviolent defense strategy that supports communities in developing unarmed civilian defense programs.
Thank you, Mr. McQuail. Neil Johnston.
Yeah, so if Trump called, he'd get my answering machine. I'd be busy trying to lift the burden of economic insecurity off the backs of workers. Big oil, big telecom, these giants are recording record profits while we're not investing in Canada. Our retaliation strategy is investing in ourselves and seeing the huge worth that we are as a country within our own borders. We need to bring manufacturing and production into Canada. We need to stop sending out things like raw logs just to have that wealth created outside of our borders. Then we buy it back for more money. We truly have to invest in Canada, and we have to do it now, right down to the micro things like offering childcare. If we want to send hundreds of people back into our healthcare workforce, give them some support with taking care of their kids so they can go back to their care industry.
We don't need more
Okay, thank you, everybody.
Minnesota
bang on time. So far, I'm really happy with this group. Let's now start with the open debate for 8 minutes. Mr. Lewis, I am going to start with you. And here's the question. I heard from all of you. We have to invest in ourselves. However, we do rely on trade with the United States.
That's
under
right.
President
We
Donald
have to be
Trump,
nice to the USA.
Is the United States an unreliable partner or a partner we can't afford to lose? And let me dig into this a bit more to give you a little more. Canada has committed to increase defense spending, and we did hear about defense as well. Stronger border measures, but we're not taking part in Trump's newly created Board of Peace or the International Security Force in Gaza.
Why not?
How would you define the balance between sovereignty, security, and alliance management at the moment. So people can jump in on this one.
Canada's pro-Hamas.
So
Yeah, I mean, to say
Hamas
that Trump is an
state.
unreliable partner is to state the crushingly obvious. We fought the free trade deals in the NDP and the labor movement and social movements on the left in the 80s and 90s because we knew it was bonkers to tie and bind our economy so tightly to such a dominant 10 times larger economy to the south. And so now we're living the vulnerability of those decisions, and we are at Trump's mercy. I can't believe you said board of peace with a straight face. These are ravings. They're not foreign policy. We have to be smart and take them on and take them seriously, but we can't participate in fantasies like the so-called Golden Dome and other Trumpian dystopias. We actually have to stand up for Canada, and that means negotiating firmly.
And not only negotiating firmly, but when the emperor is insane and has no clothing, somebody has to say it. And when they do, others will listen, and people start to have just because he's the president of the United States and can push a button that I've been living under the threat of all my life, the nuclear holocaust, doesn't mean you have to kowtow to him. And there are many, many people in the United States who aren't. But the things we need to be thinking about as Canadians is we need an embargo on military shipments to the U.S. now. Because not only is it bad
don't
when
supply military to the
hits
states.
its own citizens with their military, but they're talking about 51st state. J.S. Woodsworth knew you shouldn't send scrap steel to Nazi Germany. We should not. We need a U.S. arms embargo now.
Ms.
Which is why I wrote to the Prime Minister and demanded that we stop sending weapons that are being used by ICE against American citizens. But we need to do more than that.
You know, we
need to continue to push this government to live up to its obligations to stop sending weapons to regimes that are going to use them against human rights abusers. And that
she's going to be the leader of the NDP party. Good thing it's glitching.
Continues
Gives me
to
a
happen
chance
despite
to
the
talk.
fact that that is against international and Canadian law. But you talked, Hannah, about developing trade relationships, and I think that is something that we also need to look at. We are a trading nation. We do need to have trade relationships. We need to trade interprovincially better,
right
and we need to develop
in the same
trading
city that I live in,
aside
Edmonton.
from the
Would
United
you say
States.
Mr. Carney is
And
doing
she's
a better
actually
job at that?
I think we need to do
the
much
MP
more
for
and
my
I think
area
we need to
where I
do
live.
less with the United States because
Old
let's be
Strathcona.
honest,
Heather
Kuzma was
McPherson.
something that Donald Trump signed. We have a trade relationship with this president, and he broke it. So any trade relationship he makes going forward, he is just as likely to break. He is completely unreliable.
Mr. Ashton.
So look, Trump's a bully, and we all know it. And I've been fighting bullies since I was in grade 7, which was a couple of years ago. And the only thing that they
Trump's
understand
going to
is
take a beating
strength.
tonight.
Strength to push back on them. Our current prime minister, he talks a tough game, but then he folds. Polyev, well, we've all heard that guy cheering on some of Trump's decisions. So we have to stand up for Canadian jobs in our industries.
Yeah,
we have to invest
BDS
in Canadian
for
industries, but when we invest in Canadian industries, we have to invest in job creation.
Deranged.
We also have to diversify our trade agreements. We have to diversify with countries that want to work with us, that want to be allies with us. And the board of peace, that's not a board of peace. And I'm actually glad that Trump took our country off that board because it would have been a black eye on our country.
Yeah, so you asked if Carney was doing a better job,
right.
and I was listening
Because
to
of Carney,
actually a CBC,
they didn't allow us on this new board of
CBC
peace.
radiocast, and it was counting down kind of the different interprovincial trade barriers that were being broken down.
The,
and I was waiting for agriculture. I was waiting for food. I was waiting for Carney to finally enable Canada to feed itself and to support our farming and our agricultural industry in a good way, and it just wasn't there.
Good to see you.
And when we're sitting on such a beautiful country where we could easily feed ourselves and not have a major hunger problem, we have a prime minister that is not putting that first. He's leaving people in poverty across the country, and it's mind-blowing. And the shout out to the Council of Canadians warned us about the free trade agreement.
Yep.
We had a solid heads up that this was not a great idea, and we embedded ourselves in those relationships with the United States, and it's going to take a very firm turn and investment to get us out of it.
So here's the thing, though. We're talking about Trump-proofing the economy. We're talking about a Canadian shield, an economic Canadian shield that will actually protect us from these tariff attacks. There's a lot of
Trump-proof
talk
us.
about how we're all the same, we all
That's a new
believe in
one.
the same policies. It's not entirely true. Our campaign has put forward the essential role of public ownership to double down on the things that make Canada Canada, not just our healthcare system, investing in the care economy where more than 3 million people, mostly women, work in long-term care, in childcare, and healthcare and education, a public option for groceries, cell phones, internet connection, a public bank through Canada Post and postal banking. These are measures
you mean like a national
emphasizing the
bank,
responsibility
public bank.
of the government to
Just
step up and
nationalize
govern
everything.
and use our public resources in the public interest. Not everybody on this stage
Everything's
is willing
public.
to
Get
go
rid of the
there,
corporations.
but that's the only way that Canada can build a Trump-proof
we need
economy.
quick fixes today.
Sure, they're
Trump-proof.
compatible. They're compatible.
Let's Trump-proof the
Grocery
bloody
option isn't a
place.
quick fix. What we have to do, we have to push our federal government, and when we take power eventually, we actually have to start doing what's immediate, and that's price caps on groceries.
Sure.
That's price caps on telecoms. Stronger penalties and
More
even jail
communism.
time for companies
Yes,
that try to
more
gouge our
communism.
prices, try to gouge Canadian citizens. This is immediate, because right now, Christ, when I was a kid, it was $20 for a bag of groceries. Nowadays, it's 50, 60
We need
bucks.
price caps on everything.
Mr. McQuail, you want to jump in as well?
That'll
I
really
think we
help.
need to think about an even more radical approach to say, what is trade for, and do we
Make it
need
more
it
radical.
to have a healthy economy? Trade benefits
more
those in the
radical
middle,
approaches to
but
everything.
too often trade is based on cheap labor here and cheap and expensive products there. So we certainly
This
need
is the
state
new
to state
Democratic
trade, but
Party
we also
in
need to
Canada,
say,
which is
what
like
do we need as
far
a society?
left,
How can
really
we produce
further
it
left
ourselves?
than the Liberals,
How can we
just to let you
relocalize
know.
it? And how can we make that work for Canadians? And
Yeah,
you're
this
right,
guy
that's
needs to
not a
be the
cheap
winner.
or quick fix. But in 1988, I took a float in 8 fall fairs in our area that said, "Free Canada, trade Mulrooney." You know, we've had a lot of time to get into the trouble we're in. It'll
Free
take us some
Canada,
time to
trade
get
Carney.
out. But if we don't know where we want to go, we are never going to get there. So saying, we got to trade, we got to... No.
NDP, you're lucky I'm showing this.
Agriculture
Really
is very
lucky.
dependent on trade. But can we restructure how we do
Thank you very much for
agriculture
letting
in
me
Canada
stream you.
so we meet our
New
own needs and
Democratic
get
Party.
paid fairly for that and don't destroy the environment trying to trade
Which
ourselves
I've
to
actually got more
prosperity.
subs than they do.
And I do think one of the things that we have to come back to is that
YouTube.
the way we
That's
protect
funny.
our sovereignty is by protecting our economy and making sure that it is working for all Canadians. And that does involve making sure that we are investing in building things here. You know, we used to have Connaught Labs here. We used to be able to build our own pharmaceuticals in this
well, you got to
country. We
put
couldn't
tariffs
do that
up
during
against those
COVID-19.
products
You know,
that
we have
you
a
want to
housing
build in
crisis,
your own
a
country.
national housing crisis.
Common sense.
We should be investing in the homes that people need to live in right now.
don't need the government
We should
to
be
invest in
investing in our
anything.
healthcare
Private
system,
enterprise does
investing
that.
in those things.
A really big
Not the
economic,
government.
like immediate impact, close the
Not the job
infrastructure
of the
gap
government to
for
invest
nations
in
across
anything.
this country. If you invest in closing that gap, we're talking about over $600 billion that's going to go into our economy. These aren't tiny numbers. And this is also supporting people to live in a great way, to make over 7 million jobs in a 2-year time period. Like, this is just an unreal opportunity. And Carney turns and he invests in freaking pipelines and mines and these things that are not going to bring money to our economy now.
What?
Okay. We finished that
Well, he's
segment
not even
already.
investing in any kind
that
of a
was
pipeline.
fast. I did not have to bring in a lot
Not
of prompts
happening.
on that.
Not
So
under
moving
Carney.
on to topic 2 as well. This is on energy and the environment,
Good to see ya.
something I'm sure we all would love to discuss, especially now. Provincial NDP governments and the federal NDP openly clash over major projects, including oil and gas and pipelines. Does the federal NDP need a clearer, unified position on
federal
resource
NDP is
development?
against oil.
And what would
They
that
are
be? So we are going to start with the
anti-oil,
45-second round,
period.
and Ms.
They're
McPherson,
like
you're first.
climate
Thank you very
change
much.
activists.
And listen, let's be very clear. There is a climate crisis right now. As a member of parliament, I've
What did I
taken
tell
some
you?
big climate action in our parliament.
Oh, no.
You know, I took
sky
on the
is
CEO of
falling.
Imperial Oil. I brought forward legislation that would stop coal mining in the Rocky Mountains. You know, I worked with Indigenous people in northern Alberta
coal.
to stop the
No
release
oil.
of tailings into the Athabasca Delta. And
No natural
I have
gas.
a plan going forward to deal with the climate crisis that we are facing.
Don't burn
that
wood to
involves
heat your house.
stopping oil and gas subsidies, you know, investing in renewables, you know, making sure that we are building a plan that brings
Solar
workers
panels
along.
and
The workers are at the
windmills
center.
for
Because
the
if
wind.
workers aren't part of every single environmental plan in this country, then that plan is doomed.
Okay, thank you, Ms. McPherson. Mr. Ashton, you're next.
So I come from a province that burns
I'll
4
have to
months
talk
out of
to
the
you
year.
about buying stocks.
And then the next month, it floods horribly.
Let's have a
And
stock
that's
market
true across
special.
this country, and these burn seasons get longer and longer as we go. You see, climate is a class war because big polluters profit and their friends run away with a
Class
pocket
war.
full of money. When
That's,
it's the working class at the
leftism
end of the
talk.
day that pay the ultimate price in their communities.
Yeah, no bloody
Climate
carbon
action
tax.
has to do three
The
things. to
NDP
fix
brought the
this.
carbon tax
We have to
into
cut
Alberta.
pollution,
They're the
lower the
first
cost for
ones.
families, and create good union jobs.
Bob
But
Cox
to win this
watching.
war, you'll need to be united and not divided, because division is the weapon of the boss.
Yep.
Thank you, Mr. Ashton. Mr. McQuail, you're next.
If you visit our website,
You should win.
TonyMcQuailGreenProgressive.ca, there's a piece on it talks about a holistic goal for Canada. And it is something that I hope could help provincial and federal
Diana.
NDP work together with our riding associations and the people of Canada to say this is a vision that is
Zambrano.
hopeful in terms
Nice to
of
see you.
both the environment and the economy and the kind of world we want to build. What we have to understand when we talk about the environment is every time we
That's
take
what I
a
hope
breath,
too.
a drink, or a bite, the environment isn't
Especially
something out
Dean
there.
Wall.
It's now something inside us and becomes part of us. So we have to have plans and decisions that build a healthy environment as part of building a reasonable economy.
Tenille Johnston.
Yeah, where I come from, people work in resource-based industries. They work in forestry, fishing, energy, and like Rob offered, wildfires come in. We're suffering from floods and
no,
droughts, and they're
climate
already reshaping what our communities look like
catastrophe,
and how we
wildfires.
move about day to day.
Natural.
People there don't deny climate change and whatsoever.
Clean out that
But where
brush.
we struggle is where we see the clear path to the next job when we talk about job transitions. A serious climate plan
I know,
has
we
to,
gotta get rid
has
of
to
the
remove the $30 billion
climate
that we
change
give fossil fuel
eco-zealots.
industries year over year over year.
We don't wanna be
That
bringing
money
more
needs
of
to
that
go back
crap in.
into renewables, retrofits, transit, care work, the land restoration, so we
Let the
can
people do
rewild
what they
areas where
want.
we've
Don't
had a
force
detrimental
anybody to do
impact
anything.
to our
Just
environment.
relax.
And Heather McPherson. No.
We don't need the government
Sorry.
forcing crap down
Again,
us.
no.
It's just
I
costly.
heard and I looked at you. Abby Lewis,
Hey,
my apologies.
it's our money,
I love this
not
party.
yours.
To be in a national leadership debate and have unanimity on the stage that the climate emergency is a frontal issue. We talk about
Oh
it
my
second in the
frickin'
debate,
God.
not left to the end. But there are differences among us. I believe it's time for the NDP to tell the truth. We have to get off fossil fuels
Yeah,
as quickly
beer
as possible.
tactics.
And we're the
Exactly.
only party Canadians can trust to do it without throwing a single worker under the bus. Workers
no
can't
trolls.
transition into
No
a
trolls
promise.
here.
You can't feed your family on a slogan. That's why we need a Canadian Green New Deal to create 1 million good union climate jobs on an
Yeah, hit that
emergency
like
basis
button.
under public ownership. Fossil fuel and workers need those jobs waiting for them. Carney's ripped up decades of climate policy. It's our time to lead on climate.
I'm going to get to that in just a bit on the climate
No,
policy.
not so much.
I want to start with you. That's why I was
Don't
coming
worry
to you
about the
last time, because
climate,
I'm starting
you
with
know.
you this time.
1.5%
You're from Alberta,
of
that's
the,
what your riding is. Alberta
carbon in
is
the
central
atmosphere by
to this
Canada is
debate.
not gonna make any difference.
How does the NDP compete in the West without alienating voters whose livelihoods depend on energy?
Yeah. Listen, I am the daughter
That's
of a
right.
truck driver. My family worked in the oil and gas sector. I'm proud of the contribution that Alberta made to building Canada.
Yeah.
But I also want us to be building a future-facing economy. You know, I want us to be building a future where my children want to stay and work in Alberta. And that means investing in renewables. But I want to be clear, because you brought this up earlier. You know,
We don't have
we
to
need to work
invest
with the
in
provincial
anything.
governments, the provincial NDP across this country. You know, we
People
need to
want
work with them,
renewables.
because what
They
they are
won't buy it
achieving for the
themselves.
people in their provinces is important. You know, I think about what Rachel Notley achieved and how she was able to
Oh my
cut child
God.
poverty in half.
Yeah,
I
she
think
borrowed
about
$2 billion
the role
to
she
get rid of,
played in getting us
our
off
coal,
coal power. You know,
electricity
reducing our
generation
emissions,
early.
and how
That's what
important that
Rachel
was.
Notley
We
did.
cannot be picking fights with the provincial NDP.
So
we have to work together.
Let me just
That's-
ask you
that's
this.
key.
You have Naheed Nenshi in
They
a
are.
room
They're
together
picking fights
with
because the
Premier of
national NDP,
BC.
these guys want
How
to
do you
shut down
negotiate
oil.
those two
They
premiers?
don't like oil.
Well, I can tell you it doesn't help. An MOU by Mark Carney and Danielle Smith that pits British Columbians against Albertans, that pits people against each other during a national sovereignty crisis. You know, what we need to do is work on those things that as New Democrats that we believe in, those values that will move us forward. And not be a burden to the provincial parties, because the provincial parties are making life better for the people in their provinces.
So let me come to you,
I would
Mr.
clean
Lewis,
this
because you
panel
oppose
out.
fossil fuel
These guys
expansion.
are so
Yes.
Is that position electorally
anti-everything
viable
that is,
in
you know, going to bring us
energy-producing
prosperity.
provinces, or does it limit
like-
the
Of course it is.
NDP?
Albertans have known
They just
for
want to
decades
increase
that we need to
electricity like
diversify
crazy
our
by
economy
shutting down
in
everything.
fossil fuel producing regions. Everybody knows it. And the fossil fuel industry
Fossil
keeps
fuel.
stoking
You hear
division
that term?
and presenting us with new
It's a
pipeline projects
derogatory
as
term.
an existential necessity
Fossil.
to kick the can down the road and delay that time. 92% of Albertans believe that the industry should pay, as is the law, polluter pays, to clean up the mess in one of our most beautiful places in all of Canada, in Alberta. There are hundreds of thousands of oil wells that have reached the end of their life. They're leaking in farmers' fields and in local municipalities that do not have the money. They download these wells, abandoned and orphaned wells, to companies that go bankrupt, and they get rid of any responsibility for cleaning them up. That's decades of unionized labor for the very workers who dug those wells to clean up rather than further contaminate the land.
Mr. McQuail, you want to jump in?
We also
how's
need
that?
to ask, is climate change a problem or a symptom of a bigger problem? And I would say it is a
Climate
symptom
is
of
always
a bigger problem,
changing.
which is a society
Jeez,
that
you
has
guys.
gotten addicted
Quit with the Chicken
to
Little
using
stuff.
way too much energy. We are dumping millions of years of fossilized sunlight into our atmosphere instead of maintaining the carbon cycle that we're all a part of.
Not killing
and so
us.
we have to talk about how do we not only change the economy and transition it to renewables, but how do we redesign to drastically reduce the amount of
Just
energy
let it happen
and
naturally.
resources that economies use?
If
Because
gas becomes so
economic growth,
expensive,
which has been
people will
promoted
buy
for the 45
solar
years
panels
since
and
I got
electric
involved
cars.
in politics, is actually becoming a cancer on the planet.
Don't
So
force
when
people
we
to do
have
anything.
these opportunities, and renewable energy is a huge opportunity, not just in terms of jobs, not just in terms of the environment, but in terms of costs and the cost to people. We put up a passive solar house in the
doubt that.
1970s, put up an on-grid or a grid-connected
leave
wind
that up.
generator. We've got solar panels. These
With
all
these
help
guys?
reduce
Come
your
on.
costs
You can't
if do
debate these guys.
well and
These guys are,
effectively.
like, so
that's
far
what we need to be
left
doing as Canadians,
that
saying,
they
what
make
can we build
communism look
to
good.
build the transition.
Come
and
on.
They got their jobs. But right now, it is far more effective to switch to renewable energy in terms of jobs per amount of energy
There.
produced,
Listen to
and
Fry.
also in terms of the economic value being spread across the country, not just on narrow pipelines or individual wells.
Tanil, let me ask you this. If Indigenous nations choose ownership in oil and gas projects, is it the role of the federal NDP to tell them no?
No, I think it's the role of the federal NDP to work with nations to bring forward a prosperous Canada for all, which is actually the title of the Assembly of First Nations strategic plan, is Prosperity for All. We really, truly, I'm going to speak for a lot of Indigenous people across the country, we care about our country. We want prosperity for all. We truly believe those words when we say them. And we're talking about transition. One of the biggest pieces of misinformation out there, I believe, is the fact that people think that getting jobs in renewable industries don't pay, that you're not going to be able to make the same amount of money working as an engineer building a turbine as you are if you're working as an engineer in an oil field. And that's just not true. These jobs are good paying jobs. They're jobs that are better for your body, mind, your spirit. You can have a good, amazing paying job in a renewable energy industry. It doesn't have to be this misinformation of, well, I'm not going to make as much or there are not going to be as many jobs. That's just not true. So we need to get the education out there that demonstrates what type of workforce we're going to need to bring forward this renewable industry that we want across Canada. And we also need to set up the education system to bear that. And it needs to be free. We have to have free education to train our new workforce.
Mr. Ashton, let me bring you in on this debate. You talk about protecting workers,
free.
and I want to talk about the Indigenous part of it too.
The NDP is about
when
free stuff
energy
for
jobs
everybody.
are tied to Indigenous-owned
mind.
projects, does opposing development risk putting New Democrats at
pays for
odds
free
with
stuff?
both labor and reconciliation?
So look, to win this war, this climate war, we need workers, Indigenous, non-Indigenous workers.
Climate war.
But we have
You hear
people on the
that?
stage right now that are going to stand against plans
Everything
like
is a
the
war.
BC transmission power line
Everything's a fight.
or plans to build like the Port of Churchill. We're sending more workers to the Conservative Party like that. And so when we say we need to shut down industries without jobs already being there, we just send more workers to the Conservatives. Climate action needs to be centered on workers and Indigenous people, and that includes
thumbs up.
Indigenous projects. We have to have an open mind here. We have to be able to bring new projects along, to bring workers along with that, to bring Indigenous communities along with that, and bring the rest of the communities across this country along with that as well.
Well, I think that was referencing Mr. Lewis.
You're calling out the side shot there?
We're live and
That was very
vertical and
restrained for
horizontal.
you. I appreciate that.
We're in the debate portion, so
Listen,
go ahead.
we're a big country, we're
Double
an
tap that
affiliated
vertical
party,
stream
and
to
we're
give us a
allowed to have
thumbs up.
differences with our provincial sections. I've had warm conversations with my Premier David Eby's office, with my friend Wab Kinew, with Nahid Nenshi, and we are allowed to have differences on specific issues because we support each other as New Democrats. When I spoke to Nahid Nenshi, I told him that I love the way that he stood up
provincial
against
leader of
Daniel
the
Smith's
NDP.
disgusting use of the notwithstanding clause, attacks on teachers, attacks on trans kids. Nahid Nenshi needs to be the next Premier of Alberta, and we have some profound differences around fossil fuels. And he was asked in a...
How do you work that
People
out?
are already
Listen,
trading
Nahid
out their
answered it
solar
himself. He was
panels
scrubbed by
because they're
reporters in Ottawa,
inefficient.
And they
You
were
know
like,
that?
what about this Lewis
They
thing?
don't have
And he
enough
was like,
power to charge
this
their
is the
batteries when they
UCP
buy
when they're
batteries.
desperate and lashing out.
they have to
These
throw
are the
away
ways they
all
try
their
to turn us
panels
against each
and
other.
buy new
I'm
ones.
not buying it. He said, who cares? I think Albertans are
So much
smarter
for
than
renewable.
that. So I'm going with Nahid right now. We shouldn't be doing our opponents' work for each other. We can stand together as New Democrats and have democratic disagreements around crucial issues of public policy.
I know we're out of time, but I'm going to give you 20 seconds, Heather.
Yeah, listen, I agree with what Tony said in terms of this is an opportunity for us. This is a huge opportunity. But we cannot be picking fights with our provincial parties, and I have seen that happen in the past. You know, we have people who have picked those fights. This is an opportunity.
nothing wrong
This is
with a
where we
little
can go.
infighting.
And if we put workers at the center, and if we have a plan, then we actually can build a forward-facing economy that gets
You
people
don't have a
working,
plan?
that builds our country, that builds a forward-facing future for all of us.
Okay, we did go a little bit over. That's my fault. We are moving to the next section.
Nice.
This is going to focus on rebuilding the party. Our next question comes from the NDP in Quebec. After the video is done, each of you will have 1 minute to answer. So we're giving you
You're
15
from
extra
Quebec.
seconds. To answer that question, it has to be answered in French. If you don't answer in French, we're
C'est
going to
la
cut
vie.
you off. However, in the
Fermez la
debate
bouche.
portion, you can choose to answer in either French
Oui,
or
monsieur.
English. So let's play the video.
Let's go.
Bonjour, mon nom est Malcolm Lewis.
Hello, my name is Malcolm Louis Richemont. I'm been part of the NDP for a decade now, and last year I was a candidate for NDG Westmount in Montreal. I'm also a member of the board of administration for the NPD Quebec section, and I always remembered that in
Very nice.
2011 when the NPD won the most number of
NPD?
seats in its history in Quebec, and but
NPD in
since then
Quebec.
we've almost been erased from the map in Quebec. So my question for you is, what are the ideas to reverse our
It's going
decline
so
in
badly for you.
Quebec?
In Quebec, everyone.
Almost erased from the
1
map.
minute.
Tiens, on a échoué à
So
Sad.
avec la vie.
we didn't succeed to connect to the daily
barely
life in
speak
Quebec,
French.
and that's something we have to start from scratch. Our road to NDP victory goes through Quebec. It's so well known that's become a cliche.
NPD.
And we have to have the strategies to implement that road to success, and we have to rebuild our relationship with the union movement in Quebec, which is the strongest unionized province
Look
in
out my
Canada,
window.
and we have to target the
Looking
progressive majority in Quebec, which is the strongest majority in Quebec, which means emphasizing public services, climate action, and also want to promote a certain
Not
level
more
of
climate
political economy
action.
for
Come on.
the Quebec section.
What happened to
of
Greta,
the
by the
NDP.
way?
And
He moved on from
we shouldn't
climate
dictate.
catastrophes.
Ottawa should
over
not
to,
dictate what the
supporting
Quebec
Hamas now.
NDP should be doing. Heather McPherson.
C'est pas une cliché.
It is true, and it's not a cliche. The reconstruction of our party passes through Quebec. All of Canada must practice all candidates must practice their French, and that's a priority for me. To build something pan-Canadian, we have to recognize the importance of culture, of language, of Quebec history. Quebec is united.
Quebec.
We must rebuild in the same way
Quebec
as
separation.
everywhere else in Canada. The party's reconstruction has to go through naming our candidates earlier, being ready, and we must also increase membership. Quebecers have a place at our table, and each member has a voice in the party. I know how to do the work. I do the work. I am ready.
She's going to win this thing. You know that.
For me,
like, I know that already.
Rebuilding the confidence with workers.
We must show her leading against everybody.
Win over what we lost.
Oh, she will win.
We must show people that the NDP has the solution, and we need Quebec to win. I am
with
the our organizers must create relationships with unions, and we must talk
union. Oh yeah, the NDP is union. The unions
it is
in bed
important.
with the NDP, by the way, in
the
Canada.
NDP has,
so you know, that's where they get all their votes from.
Roots
is the union,
and backs away from nothing, and that is the way that we are going to win. I am the right choice for that. So to rebuild the NDP, we must support our ridings, individual ridings.
You can barely understand them.
And Canada.
We need a green progressive front that
LED
to win over the confidence of Quebecers in Canada. We have to collaborate with other parties and social movements.
Definitely, especially the Liberals. Just support the Liberals.
Before the elections, the Green coalitions must present a program, a responsible program or platform everywhere. Social movements and associations have to work together to select a candidate who will represent the Green Coalition's program in the elections.
Green Coalition, yeah, get in bed with the Green Party. Super salty.
I respect the French language and Quebec. I respect the...
He's the Quaker. The Quaker dude.
Party,
you can just call him the Quaker dude.
We must make our party grow. We must fund associations.
No, she can't speak French either.
And we have to assemble workers around us. We need
that is
we
the
need
nice
a new
Anglais
indigenous
accent.
nation. We are there for everyone, but we must win.
This is the open debate portion of
Thank
this.
you very much for the nice try, but
you can
no
answer
cigar.
in either English or French. I am going to ask in English. My French is not very good.
Even as
Let's start with
Englishmen can
this question.
why
should Quebec voters trust a leader who cannot communicate with them in their first language? And Mr. Lewis, you're first.
On ne peut pas avoir confiance dans un chef qui ne peut pas.
So we can't have confidence in a leader who cannot communicate in the Quebecers' language. Everywhere throughout Canada, there are Francophone communities, and we cannot forget them. So, but it's not only a question of speaking French. We have to know the unique history of Quebec. We have to know the culture. There is
Too bad, so
in a
sad.
sense, a Quebec nation and of Quebecers. And
Quebecois.
these Quebecers deserve
a bunch of
an
separatists out there,
NDP leader
just like Alberta,
who knows their culture. It's not only a question of language.
Je laisse.
Would you
So,
commit to becoming fully bilingual and by what time frame?
Oui, c'est en marche. Oui, oui, oui.
Time frame?
I think we're all pretty committed to become.
yes, indeed.
By what time
Oh,
frame?
she's speaking English now.
Sorry,
Being
Mr.
honest.
McQuail, just one second. By what time frame, please?
I think being fully bilingual is going to take at least a year of solid commitment to the language. And in my opinion, as someone who's spent
See?
my
She's
adult
not
life
even ready.
Trying to
not gonna
retain
make it if
any
she can't
ounce
speak
of
French.
my native Liqua language, where we only have like
you want to be
6
the
fluent
leader of a
speakers
federal
left,
party.
I
you have
totally
to be
understand
bilingual.
and wholeheartedly like live
Otherwise,
holding on to
fermez
your
la
language
bouche.
as a vital component of your culture. And I think understanding that and reaching out to Quebec and offering that relational history of retaining language is huge. I think what Quebec has been able to do with holding on to their Francophone community and their language is absolutely amazing. And it's something that we've struggled to do in Canada with numerous
they
nations
pretty
across
much
this
kicked
country
all
where
the
our
English
language dialects
speaking
have been
people out of
decimated by
Quebec.
colonialism
That's
and
how they did
Western
it.
culture. So I think we have a lot to learn from Quebec and how we retain languages and move forward with more language culture in Canada. And I mean, in BC, we only have one Francophone school district for the entire province. We need to fix that.
Sorry
A
for
white
interrupting,
cowboy
Mr.
hat.
McQuail. Go ahead.
That's okay. Well, I want to be perfectly honest.
That's right.
As somebody who
You know
has 2
she's
years
lost.
of high school French and is going to turn 74 in March, I
my
doubt
God.
that I will become negotiatingly fluent en français in my lifetime. That is what
See?
translators are for.
Ain't gonna happen.
And if I deal with a native community, I will need a translator to speak with someone who doesn't speak English.
What,
But
you
when
don't
we
speak
had
Cree?
Kittimavik billets, I got on really well with the Francophone billets.
Yeah, he's
who
the Quaker
were
dude.
working class as opposed to the
where
Anglophones
he
who
came
came
from.
from Rosemont in Toronto. And so what we need to understand is I do speak
See, it's like becoming
better with Mother
like Trump.
Nature
These guys are
than a
trying to
good
be the
many
leader of
people. And
Canada.
I don't think we're in a crisis where the Francophone language or the Francophones in Quebec are going to disappear. But our planet is disappearing before our eyes.
Oh,
And we
no,
need somebody
climate
who
change.
understands and not
Pardonnez-moi,
bringing it up.
Il y a 2 langues officielles au Canada. C'est pas une question de
there you
négo.
go.
There are 2 official languages in Canada. It's not a question of interpretation or translation. There's 2 languages.
He's really
We're going
going
to come
hard.
to you next. You've highlighted your experience. You've been a member of parliament since
Yeah.
2019. You understand federal
quiet.
politics. Given that Quebec is an essential part of forming government, why wasn't becoming bilingual a priority?
Vive le Québec!
Moi, pour moi, c'est une grande priorité.
Oh, for me, it is a
She's not-
huge
actually not
priority
bad
for
with
my
her,
family. For
French.
example, my daughter
That's why she's
speaks
gonna
French
win.
very well. It's important for me that
Ma fille pour l'école. C'est
that
Good one,
difficile à
Super.
so it's hard. It's because it is necessary. We protect the French language in
I got
Quebec,
chicken coming in
but
here.
also
Supper
in
time.
other ridings, other provinces
mind me if I
in the
eat on
country.
camera.
For example, Edmonton, Strathcona.
And,
That's
and
where I
we have
live.
fought hard. I have fought hard for Campus Saint-Jean. I
I
have
live
fought
in
hard to
Old
make
Strathcona.
sure that we are respecting and protecting French language in Alberta and across
Yeah,
the
there's a
country.
little
Thank you. And
French
Mr. Ashton, let me
neighborhood.
ask you, you led
to the
a
east of,
national
us
you
here.
lead a national union representing workers across the country for more than a decade. In that role, how did you engage with Francophone
Edward
workers,
Cam.
and why did learning French not become a part of the national leadership responsibility?
So we don't have members in Quebec. Right? We're a BC-based union. But to answer your original question about
What?
what it
BC-based
means
union.
and to learn French.
party,
and I
not a
learned this
union.
lesson when I was in Gatineau having an event where it's what does the French language mean to Quebecers? And it goes back to the Quiet Revolution, when Quebecers took back their power from the church. It's when I learned that that the English language was the language of the ruling class and the French language was the language of the working class. So I committed
The
wholeheartedly to learning
bourgeoisie
French.
and the proletariat.
Okay, and we are out of time for this segment, so we are going to move on to the next one. So I appreciate your answers on that.
I am doing
The
super
NDP,
salty.
this one is the future and role of the party. The NDP currently governs in British Columbia and
Tickety-boo.
Manitoba, and we've had a little bit of this discussion throughout, but
Practicing
we're
my
going to get
French
in
a
a bit
little bit
more.
here
It's
tonight.
governed in Alberta, Nova Scotia,
Beanie
Ontario,
Claw. Oh, no, that was
Saskatchewan,
Italian.
Yukon. Why can New Democrats win provincially, but they can't seem to win federally? Mr. Ashton, you first.
Canadians are better off when the NDP is strong. I think we all know that, because when we're weak, it's the working class that pays the price.
Not really.
So we have to change
You're
this.
like,
we have to build on the provincial
The
successes.
number
that we've
3
been having,
party in Canada,
not
like low
undermine
down.
them. You see, that means real power for our members, real power for our EDAs. Discussions on shop floors and not in boardrooms.
Didn't notice her pen.
Show working people that we hear them, that we get them. We're going to fight like hell for them.
Ooh.
That's how we're going to win downtown. That's how we're going to win in the
Downtown.
suburbs. And that's definitely how we're going to win in rural ridings.
Downtown Brown.
Thank you.
So is that the
Those
fact
are
that the
fighting
ideas
words.
haven't been brought
Oh, yeah.
forward to the federal part
The
of the
white
party? I'm
pen,
trying to
something.
understand.
Because communication, right?
It's
We
communication.
have to be able to talk.
Okay.
to
Them's
people.
are
We have to
fighting
be able
words.
to talk to people across the country. We have to be able to understand and listen to them. And a lot of our provincial sectors have actually been able to understand and actually listen to what Canadians want in their provinces.
Okay, thank you for that. Mr. McQuail.
Well, the first past the post electoral system is a great handicap, not only to the national party, but to the provincial parties. My biggest regret is that in 1990, the Ontario NDP did not work to bring in proportional representation, because we've now had 3 phony majority governments under Doug Ford. Yes, our provincial parties have had some success, but they have also often worked a long time in the wilderness because of first past the
Hey,
post, which
careful what you
ensures
say. I'm
that
bald.
working people do not get representation in Parliament
sort of.
or in their legislatures in proportion to how we would vote, and then we start voting strategically, and it's been a big impact nationally.
Okay, Tenille Johnston.
Yeah, I think we can win. I think we absolutely can win federally, but we have to be
Can
going
win
to
what?
places that maybe we haven't been
Federally?
before. We have to
You're
be
kidding me.
reconnecting with ridings that we've left behind for decades, and there's ridings out there that we have not
Delusional.
been present in, that are ready for change and want to mobilize and want to have that big win for us federally. The changes we want to see don't come from playing the governmental conscience for the federal government. We want to see big, bold changes like a guaranteed livable basic income, like a progressive
No,
wealth
we
tax.
don't want
And these
that.
are things that the Conservatives and Liberals are never going to
That
get
is-
behind, and we have to
it's
do from a position
Marxism.
of
It's
power.
socialism.
We don't want a softer version of the status quo.
We
We
don't
want that
want more
big, bold
socialism.
change that can really secure equity across the country for Canadians.
Mr. Lewis.
Carrying right on from what Tenille is saying, our campaign has shown that despite our devastating loss in the last election, the NDP is not just reviving, we are already soaring back to life through the very thing that makes us special, our members. In just a few months, our campaign has built momentum in fundraising and memberships and crowds that everybody can see. And we've done it by sharing a bold, ambitious vision that can never be confused with that of
if
the
I
Liberal
see you
Party.
over in
That's key.
Cannabis Rex's
And
channel,
we've
I'll
used a
ban you from my
distributed
channel.
organizing model
By the
that
way.
trusts our members.
Just so
That's how we're
everybody
going to
knows.
win back party status and more in the
hang
next
out over
election.
there and I see you over
Local
there, I'll
members
ban
and
you over
regional
here.
organizers are free to choose the techniques and the messages that work in their communities.
No
The
troll
central
zone.
party doesn't try to control them, but supports them and resources them. We're already coming back on our campaign.
Heather McPherson.
Listen, New Democrats are New Democrats. You know, whether we are provincial or federal New Democrats, we are the same. We share the same values. So
No, you
we need to
don't.
be working together
because
to
the
achieve those
provincial
things
New
for Canadians.
Democrats are a
I
little
have
bit
seen what happens across
pro-oil.
this country when
The
New
federal,
Democrats are elected.
like you guys, are
no,
totally
it is
anti-oil.
important because it makes life for
That's
the
a big
people that
difference.
live in those provinces better. And so we need to get more New Democrats elected. That's how we do this. And we do that by organizing year round. You know, we had a model in Edmonton, Strathcona. When I was elected in
Oh my God.
2019, we chose to
Right where I live.
expand, to do year-round organizing, to get candidates selected
I
early,
hate
to
that when
work
they
with
knock on
other
my door.
riding associations, to give the power back to members. That's what we need to do to rebuild our party. That's the work that I have been doing. That's the work I'll
They
continue to do as the
more
leader.
than the.
We are now going to move into
what's
the
that
debate
religious
portion.
group?
Some working class voters, and I'm going to start with you, Mr. Ashton, left the NDP because they felt the party didn't understand the economic anxiety at the time. What would you change? Just one thing would you change to
she
win
is
them
your
back?
winner, for sure.
And we'll start
Heather
with you, Mr. Ashton.
McPherson for the win.
talking about what matters to Canadians.
But I'd rather have
Jobs,
a worse person
affordability,
running the party, not
housing.
a great one.
And that's what we're doing on my campaign, is that's what we're talking to people about.
Too many fighting words.
Because when you've got a guy like Polyev that is strutting around and pretending to be a worker, well, he's about as much as a worker as I am a flower girl.
He did lure
He used to
over
deliver newspapers. Come on.
In the last
He was the
election.
paper boy.
He's pretty slick as snot.
A hard-working guy.
But what we're finding through our campaign, there's a young fella in Brantford. He came up to me and said he voted Conservative in the last election.
Yeah, get a wig.
But he signed up to our party so he could follow and vote for our campaign. And that's what's happening at every city that we go to, because they understand the message.
I actually got kicked out of a Rachel Notley NDP event in
Edmonton. We're going to bring people back to our party where they belong.
To check out the party. And they kicked me out of the event.
To, have the big, bold ideas and
They
say all the
figured
big
out who
things
I
and create all
was,
the excitement
kicked
around
me
it.
out.
But you have to show up. This is a big thing that I felt we
kinda hard
weren't doing
to,
enough of. We weren't showing up.
What does that mean exactly?
Get to like the
Physically
party when you
go
get kicked
to
out
these
of the
places,
event.
shake the hands, say hi, sit down, close the mouth, and listen with both ears, so that you're absorbing what just happened in the last election. Especially, we had a tough go. And I can tell you for sure, Polyev was in my riding way too much to make me comfortable. He kept having meetings in my community, and that was 3 years before the last election. We visited ridings that haven't seen a leader or a leadership candidate in over 2 decades.
So you're blaming the former leader for not showing up?
I'm not blaming the former leader from showing up, because our party is made by the movement of the people. We are bigger than one person, and we have to show up for each other. Not going to the places and spaces where we have big opportunities is not helping us.
Thanks a lot for the raid.
Huge opportunity in Prince Albert, and a lot of people might not see that. Prince Albert has a very high Indigenous population, and people tell me all the time, well, Indigenous people don't vote. I'm like, well, have you had a conversation with them? Have you met with their leadership and talked about where they're at and what they need and what their priorities are and where they want partnership from the federal government? No, we haven't.
Thanks for the
raid. So we
have
to go and build these relationships in community, not on Zoom, and bring those
Thumbs
folks
up to
into
Mr.
our
Bill.
party in a really good way.
Appreciate
That is a huge untapped potential that we could be
after this, we'll get some other stuff going.
And we're not doing it. So there's huge opportunity.
Big ups, everyone.
And we have to rebuild the party from the ground up so that we strengthen the foundation of the party across the country. I mean, I got involved in 1980 because I wanted Ed Broadbent to be our prime minister, I wanted the NDP to be the government. And you ask, what's our role?
Hey, guess
our role
what we're
is
eating
not to
tonight?
sit on the sidelines and try and guilt or shame the Liberals and Conservatives into doing what's right. We need to get into positions where people can actually see us govern. And when they have, we have health care because Tommy Douglas showed what could be done. And then the Liberals and Conservatives got scared that, well, the CCF might form a federal government. Let's bring in health care.
We're eating that
and now
chicken
we're losing
dinner.
It to Danielle Smith and Doug Ford strangling it or starving it.
Winner, chicken dinner.
We need to be in government. That's the
Real
role
chicken good,
I want
yeah.
to see for the NDP. But to do that, we have to rebuild the foundation of our riding associations.
Good.
Make sure the communication is two-way and not just about asking about money. How about information on how we could strengthen our riding associations? What's working with other riding associations?
Start with the chicken
what
nuggets.
our MPs and MPPs are doing, and what other countries are doing to solve the problems that are on people's minds, be it access to health care, food pricing, or jobs, so that we actually can show people what could be done and how we could do it, and that we have the strength to do it so they might vote for us.
Thank you, Mr. McQuail. Mr. Lewis, I want to come to you because you argue for being bold, not liberal light. Those are your words. That appeals to activists, but elections are math.
Yeah.
And we have to be frank.
To Canadians, Hannah.
If you refuse to court centrist liberals, where does your growth come from?
That's not the way it is at all, actually. But thanks for the opportunity to clarify.
You're welcome.
This is where you see the shared values. We got to show up. We got to talk to working class Canadians.
I'm streaming on vertical and horizontal, so
Heather,
come on over
the same
to
thing. We need to
the horizontal feed.
How do we do it? This is what we need to focus the conversation.
Feed,
We launched this campaign laser focused on the everyday emergency of just trying to get by in an impossible, unfair, and rigged economy. We're the only party that has a story for Canadians about why life is unaffordable, why you're crying at the supermarket checkout, because Galen Weston is worth $18 billion, and because 5 grocery chains dominate the industry and price gouge and collude. That's why we put out a public option for groceries. And we got incredible response, Hannah and Rob, you must know this, from Conservatives. Conservatives are really interested in a public option for groceries because conservatives understand that the economy is rigged and we live in a monopoly economy. We share values, but we have different solutions, and we're going to win by offering solutions that are actually as big as the crises we face that will solve the crisis of working class life.
On the back of all the affordability is also we should have free memberships. So we shouldn't be charging $10 for people to come join our party when we know that they're being crushed by the capitalist economy.
We're over here on the horizontal feed here, by the way.
We need to change our approach to bringing people into the NDP family.
Okay, thank you. And Ms. McPherson, you wanted to get in there too.
I did want to say we got to come back to rebuilding our party. And to rebuild our party, you're right, we do need to show up. It's why I have door knocked from Smithers to St. John's. You know, it is why I have been doing this work for years. You know, it is how we expanded the number of people that we could get elected in Alberta. And we've got to continue to do that work. And that is working with the riding associations. That is training our members. It is supporting our members. It is making sure that vetting process is transparent and fast. You know, it is making sure that we're giving the resources to our riding associations to do the work that we are asking them to do. And ultimately, we've got to go to our members and we have to trust them. We have to trust them
because
to help
I can
us
flip
rebuild the
verticals
party.
off the vertical feed.
Is the members.
Okay,
short.
Mr. Ashton. Sorry, Mr. Ashton first, and then Mr. McQuail.
So we talk about rebuilding
You're
the party.
absolutely right, Mr. Bill.
And
One of these
I'm
people
glad to hear that my friend
could be the
has
Prime
a good
Minister
relationship
of
with
Canada, the leader, just like
premiers
Trump.
and premiers
Go
and
figure.
weightings of the provinces. I'm glad to
Nope,
see
this
that
is federal,
he knows
not
that he's got
provincial.
to talk to the provinces and have a good relationship with
This
them.
isn't Alberta. This is
And that
all
he's
of
grown.
Canada.
Because about a decade and a half ago, something was dropped from the federal NDP that absolutely destroyed the Alberta NDP's chance ever again for
Look at that.
being reelected up until the head took
That's
over.
pretty heavy.
And so I'm really happy to see
I
that
gotta
he's
show
grown
the,
and he's become a stronger New Democrat.
Look at that chicken.
I
Come
hear a
on.
little bit of tension there, so I'm going to come to you,
Winner,
Mr.
chicken
McQuail. I'm
dinner.
going to let Mr. Lewis respond
Rob,
to that.
Once again, thank you so much for the opportunity to clarify. First of all, the LEAP was 10 years ago.
I'm glad to be
not,
such a
10,
professional, by
15
the
years
way.
ago. The LEAP manifesto was itself an exercise in building a big coalition, building a bigger table, as Heather might say, among people who didn't share all of the
That's some
same
good
views,
chicken.
from environmentalists to the union that represents oil sands workers. A senior official from Unifor was in the document making changes until the last
Hey,
minute.
Scotty.
So we built
Good
a
to see
big
ya.
coalition. We launched the LEAP manifesto. The head of the biggest union in Canada, QP National, signed it. The head of the Canadian Labour Congress at the time signed it, as well as dozens of other unions. When we came to the Edmonton Convention with it, we worked through the leader's office to make sure everybody knew it was coming, a federal resolution at a federal convention. And the resolution itself was itself a compromise that just said that riding associations should be able to debate this vision. And 3/4 of our members, our precious members, the renewable energy source of our party, 3/4 of the members on the floor in Edmonton voted for that resolution. So I think I'm the same New Democrat I've always been.
We're over time, but I'm going to give you 20 seconds. Yeah, okay, just 20.
Well, give him a bit to respond, and then I would like 10.
20 and 15.
Okay.
Go
He
ahead.
hasn't spoken enough. You can give
No, I did spoke before.
You guys are so polite. Okay, I'm going to go Mr. McQuail. Literally
You guys
15
give
seconds.
away your
so I'm
time
already
to
over
I've
time.
been
speak, okay?
saying that we need to throw our arms wide and make sure that people know we want everybody, including disenchanted liberals who've been getting a smoke job in terms of what they think they're voting for, and concerned conservatives who don't like pit bull politics and understand that cooperation actually is a conservative value.
Rob, did you want to just come in? You're fine. Okay.
Pitbull
we are going to move on to the next
politics?
section if you
What's
want
that?
to jump in on something in the next section. This is a continuation of that one. I'm going to have to take some time out of it. My apologies. We're going to focus a bit more on how you would deal with this prime minister and this Liberal government. We did see another
Now
floor
watch out, Cam.
crosser
Salty
yesterday
has a wrench.
from the Conservatives going over to the Liberals. It's clear that this prime minister would like to have a majority government. So would you find ways to work with Mark Carney and the Liberals to avoid an election? And it's 45 seconds each. Tony McQuail, I'll start with you.
Well, I
course
think
they
we
would,
need to come
because
out
they
of
always
this
support the
federal
Liberal
leadership
Party.
campaign strong and united. And I think we have to show him that the New Democrats are
United
a lot
with the
stronger.
Liberals, that
If
is.
you want to hit us, this is not the time, because we're not down. We have an incredible group of candidates here who've been building the party, and we have to reach out and speak, come out of this campaign of leadership ready to go into a campaign if we get to, if he decides that he's going to try and take the opportunistic way out. And I think we have to come in very strong on proportional representation, because that's what we need. And we also have to say, if you want to call an election, we're going to call you out for the 2015 lies that you brought in, and we will go to the polls as you again if we end up with a minority.
Let's do it. Do it. Call out Carney.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not running to babysit a Liberal government. Definitely running to come out hard and win big in the next election. I tell people all the time that I think I'm probably one of the only folks that's like really excited about the next election. North Island Powell River is so ready for the next election, and we want to get going. And the excitement that we saw across the country in lots of tiny communities all over the place, people are ready.
Kentucky Fried
I think there's
Chicken.
this misinterpretation that because the last election, took a big toll on us, we survived. We have our Magnificent Seven in there that are working harder than ever. And I think a lot of new Democrats are ready to hit the ground, hit the doors, and get going and really show what the NDP force is all about.
Avi Lewis.
That's right. I'm getting chicken grease on my keyboard.
Democrats are the most polite and constructive of all the parties. You can see it among us tonight.
Polite.
Very polite.
And we will always work with whatever government we can to advance the interests of working class Canadians, to make life better. It is a country awash in wealth. And there is no reason why everyday struggles should be so intense for the 99%
but we're getting all of our wealth taken away by Ottawa. That's why Alberta wants to separate.
1 in 4 Canadians skipping a meal in order to feed their kids. Mr. Carney understands. He's a bright guy.
All
and
we
he
can
understands
afford
that we
is
are at
chicken.
a turning point in human history. And the nation has an appetite for big things. We think he's going in the wrong direction. And we think that the NDP can provide a much healthier direction by doubling down on the ties that bind us, our independent sovereign economy, and the working class
NDP
lives
gets
of
in.
Canadians.
Will I be eating burgers instead of chicken?
The role of New Democrats is to push the government until we become the government. And as a member of Parliament, I'm proud of some of the wins that we were able to get out of the last Parliament. There are 6 million Canadians across this country that have access to a dentist that did not before because of New Democrats. But what I am seeing from Mark Carney right now is an unwillingness to work with the other parties.
Edward.
I need a prime minister that is defending our public universal healthcare system, and that is not what we are seeing. While Daniel Smith takes the biggest swing at healthcare since Tommy Douglas and the NDP put it in place, and Mark Carney does not defend the Canada Health Act, I can't work with that. When we are laying off public sector employees by the tens of thousands, that is not something I can support.
Okay, thank you. And Rob Ashton.
Work with
I agree.
Carney.
Kathy doesn't like burgers either.
Carney's a bigger conservative, I think, than Harper or Mulroney ever were. And so when I'm the leader of the party and we regain all those seats, we're going to be taking out bill by bill.
Wow.
We're going to be standing up for what Canadians want. That's jobs, housing, and affordability. Because Carney cut 40,000 jobs.
Yeah, what about
40,000
those
jobs out of our
modular houses that Carney promised?
Jobs that people need to help get them into our system, to help work with us.
I'm eating chicken.
He allows privatization to happen across the country. And he allows corporate business to steal away our jobs.
Okay, thank you for that. We're now going to move into the debate portion of this final segment. We do have other segments
Winner,
after,
chicken dinner.
Was the confidence and supply agreement to blame for the party's losses in the last election? And did Canadians tie the NDP too closely to Justin Trudeau's Liberals? And Mr. McQuail, we'll start with you.
Well, that is one of the major problems.
I have 2 streams going on YouTube, vertical and horizontal. Come to the horizontal one.
An unpowerful supportive member in a minority government. And we saw the same thing happen for the NDP in Ontario. We came up with a bunch of good ideas. The Liberals who were in power implemented our good ideas, and they got all the credit for it in the next election. And it wasn't until they dithered around
liberals.
for 3
they steal
years
everything.
that then they were swept out of power, and the NDP came in 1990. So if you're going to go into an agreement,
hey, Kathy, good
you
to see you.
have to be extremely clear of what you're agreeing to and what you're supporting and what you won't support.
Let me come to you, Ms. McPherson,
You got it,
because you
Scott.
were
I agree.
closely involved in the agreement. If voters did punish the party for that agreement, how are you the candidate for change?
Oh, the voters punished the party because of
for me, when I
Jagmeet.
look at that agreement and the things that we were able to achieve for Canadians, I think that's very, very important. But the key piece
come
that
into
we
the
need to fix
horizontal
here is our
stream.
electoral system, and we
There's
do
a
need
horizontal one.
electoral reform.
Come over to the other
because
one.
we should be working together. We should be working for the benefit of Canadians. You know, all politicians should be going to Ottawa to get things done for Canadians. And I understand that my role as an opposition member is to hold the government accountable, and I do that every day. You know, I'm able to stand in the House of Commons, and I will be able to stand in the House of Commons the day after this leadership race to actually fight for Canadians. That's what we need to be doing. You know, when we can get wins for Canadians, let's
more
work
chicken
together.
over here
when
on
we
YouTube.
can't, let's not. But ultimately, it is a electoral reform that we need to be looking at.
Mr. Lewis?
It's a time for what Nathan Cullen called violent agreement among us. And Heather, I have to say, listening to your defense of the supply and confidence agreement, I got shivers. It's why you're an incredible MP.
The
and
birds
I really
outside are going to
respect
be
your
happy to
leadership.
eat this.
I think what we had there was a failure of communication, a failure to communicate. We were staying in this, as I understand it, we stayed in the supply and confidence agreement so that we could actually get the dental care program implemented. Now, Jagmeet was in a very difficult position because he had to criticize
They got that
the
dental
very unpopular
program that
Trudeau
they
government,
instituted.
but
that
at the same time,
it's
he was
only
still,
for
and the
if
caucus
you're
was still
on
supporting
welfare or you don't have any
confidence
money.
and Canadians got
If you're making any money
are you mad at
whatsoever,
them, or are
the
you
dental
supporting them?
program
When
doesn't
push
help
comes
you.
to shove, you support. And that's because we needed dental care for millions of Canadians to be implemented so the next government couldn't roll it back. But we never said that clearly to Canadians. We need to practice straight talk and clarity in our country and be transparent about why we're doing what we're doing. And I just want to say that in terms of proportional representation, which we all want, I've said that
That's
if we
all that
control the balance
Jagmeet
of
ever
power in
said
the parliament, we will go
with
in
the,
with one demand
the
and
last
change the
debates
electoral
is dental
system
care,
so we
dental
have an
care,
actual
dental care.
functioning democracy in this country.
Yeah.
And we have
Free,
to let
free,
Canadians
free,
know
free.
that we're going to
You
fight
got
for
it,
that.
Mouth.
Because 36% of the popular vote should
Mouth,
not
come
lead
over to the
absolute power
horizontal
in
feed.
Ottawa, and we all know it.
Mr. Ashton, let me bring you in on this. You said the NDP got 3 big wins from the agreement, pharmacare, dental care, which everybody, and the anti-scab legislation as well. But the Liberals did take a lot of the credit on that. I think everybody on the stage agrees to that in the last election.
Chicken
As
dinner night
leader
tonight.
of the party, how would you approach the relationship with the Liberals differently?
No, just click my name up on
We're going
top
to
if you're
demand
watching
better
a
for the Canadian
vertical.
workers. We're going to
That
demand
takes you to
better.
my
We're going to be
page,
unapologetically loud
and then select the
when we
live,
actually make a
and then
deal
the
and
horizontal.
we get something that we need for Canadians. We're going to be screaming it from the rooftops, to be honest with you.
That's
Now-
Scott figured it out.
We're going to listen to what Canadians want us to fight us for. And that's jobs, that's housing.
You can't
that's
click a link
affordability,
on a vertical.
And yes, a new electoral system. And this is what we're going to be pushing when I'm leading the NDP. We're going to be pushing for what Canadians want because we're going to be listening to them. We're going to be meeting with them, like Tennille said, where they're at. We're not going to roll over and allow the Carney government or Polyev
That's
sitting
some
in the
good
wings
chicken.
eating our cake and stealing our thunder.
Oh, we're eating
Ms.
the chicken.
McPherson, you wanted to get in a moment ago. My
Not stealing
apologies.
the thunder.
No?
Oh,
But I'm
okay.
happy to. I'm happy to talk. I mean, I agree with Rob when he talks about the idea of housing being
Right.
something that we need to be
Thunder
making sure we're
thighs.
pushing the government on. You know, one of the things that bothered me most about the budget that I voted against in the fall is the fact that there was half the money promised for housing. You know, it is why I brought forward one of the very first platform planks was my housing platform. And it is because we're in the midst of a national housing emergency.
We
And
do a
see
professional
this
stream.
government
Nothing but the best.
not taking
Top notch.
the breadth of that problem seriously, you know, not dealing with it with the urgency that we see. And that's one
little bit dry,
example. But there are
won't-
many examples where this government does not put working class Canadians
Won't
at
say
the
it's
forefront.
perfect,
It is
but
all
it's a little
about
dry.
corporate interests. It is not about making life better, making life more affordable, making life
Go get your
easier for Canadians from coast to coast to coast.
And Tanil, you just want to jump in quickly.
Communication is absolutely key in all of this. And it's communication every single day, not just around election time. And it's on every platform you can imagine. It's on Instagram, it's on TikTok, it's on Twitch, it's on YouTube. It's on all these different the platforms so that we can actually reach a diverse perspective of Canadians.
Parties,
we need to engage our student movement and help us with that. These folks are experts in these arenas, and we're not getting the information out there. I bet there's a whole ton of people that have no idea that Carney only funded the housing program half of what it's worth. There's so many people that don't know that we have probably never actually contributed to our healthcare through the Canadian Health Act in the way that we're supposed to as the federal government. There's all these big facts that folks don't know, and we're not getting that information out there to them. And when we talk about electoral reform, can we please bring back the per vote subsidy? That $2 a vote will do a lot for our party, and it'll help us get lifted out of this backward system where we have the same amount of votes, almost the same amount of votes as the Bloc Québécois, but we have 7 members and they have 22. We need to fix it.
Mr. McQuail, just short.
Well, the reason we have to rebuild the riding association connection to the party and strengthen our riding associations is based on 45 years of experience. You're never going to be able to communicate through the national media all that you want to communicate or have it come out really accurately.
Lefty media.
And so we are going to have to rebuild that base of the party, that foundation, and have really good communication so that we can tell our story to our members who can tell it to their neighbors.
Okay, thank you all. I have one final question, and this is a one-word answer, and I know you may disagree with a one-word answer, but I'm going to force it on you.
Seasoning
right now, your party holds 7 seats. We've been discussing that. So let's be clear. Are you running to rebuild
like about
this
170
time, or are
seats
you
to win the government.
To be Prime Minister? One-word answer. Tanil, you're first.
Rebuild.
Tony.
Prime Minister.
Rob.
Rebuild.
Rebuild.
Be real. Rebuild, of course.
Okay. More than one word.
Okay, we'll let him have more than one word. So this is our final section. Thank you for all doing that in one word. I thought there might be a little pushback on that, so I do appreciate that. Before we wrap up this evening, I do want to ask this one last section. So this is our final portion where we ask each person an individual question. And you know what? Somehow I have lost that on my, found it. It's like a journalist's desk up here. I was going to kill time moving those papers around. Tanil, I'm going to start with you on this one. These are, for each contestant, they're tailored to you, either your experience, to your platform, to your campaign priorities, and you're going to have 1 minute to respond to each one. So Tanil, I am going to start with you. You've criticized, and we even heard tonight, the fundraising threshold to enter this race. Leadership of a national party requires raising significant resources. Why shouldn't members see that threshold as a test of readiness?
Yeah, I think I'm not deterred away from like a test of readiness as far as being able to fundraise. I think I'm actually quite a good fundraiser when we get down to it, especially in rural ridings. I land very well there because I understand that landscape.
Rural ridings
I don't necessarily view the landing at the $100,000 as a commitment to the kind of the democracy within our party. EDAs from across the country, we saw them do letter writing campaigns and offer to the party rules that they expected of the leadership race, and also what they thought about a reasonable cost for a ballot fee. And we weren't seeing that 100,000 six-figure number. We were seeing top around $75,000, and that was really what the membership was pushing. So when we look at our leadership race and running our leadership races, we need to lean into the people of the party, the membership of the party that is this moving machine. They are the movement, and use those recommendations that are coming from our people to structure our leadership race in a way that's really respecting what they're expecting to see from us.
Thanks, Tanil. Avi Lewis, you're next. So here's your question. Your dad was a provincial leader. Your grandfather led the federal party. You describe yourself as an outsider. In what sense?
Well, I think I think maybe I'm a throwback to the NDP of the CCF NDP of my grandpa's era. Think about what Tommy Douglas did with healthcare. It was the same thing. It was a giant idea that was outside the box. I'm outside the box.
He brought in healthcare
for what is considered a serious political idea by the very serious people who decide what's serious in this country. I'm advancing solutions as big as the crises we face. And that's what's required in this time. That's what Tommy did with healthcare. And we need to actually get outside of this very, very narrow window, which is what my objection to Carney's leadership is exactly that. He's a smart guy, and he's very popular in Canada right now because he has a diagnosis about where we are in history. We're at a turning point. But what he wants to do is make us
believe
into
it
a
or not,
petrostate.
I get
that is
about
a
4 times
militarized
as many
petrostate, a
views
junior
on
arms
vertical
dealer on
than
the world stage.
horizontal.
I have a very different vision for Canada, and that's what is outside of maybe the Ottawa bubble, but certainly not outside of our tradition as New Democrats.
Okay, thank you, Abby. Heather, you are next. You are senior member of former leader Jagmeet Singh's team and served as whip during the confidence and supply agreement. Ultimately, there was the party's worst federal results. So why should members see you as change rather than continuity?
I want to start by just saying how
blame
proud
her
I am of what our
Jagmeet
caucus was
losing.
able to achieve in the last parliament and the incredible members of parliament that made up our caucus. You know, with 25 members of parliament, we fundamentally changed the direction that our country took on many things. You know, I was the foreign affairs critic, and I am proud of the way that we fundamentally changed our party and the government on issues around Palestine, on Ukraine, on Sudan, on Iran.
She supports Palestine,
there
by
is
the way.
a way that we need to push the government of the day until we are the government. And I can tell you, the work I have done in my riding, the work I have done across this country, the record I have of being able to win my seat in Alberta.
Just think of this. The NDP is a left party, so they support anything that's
that
left.
I can win,
far
that
left.
I know how to do that, that I've been doing that work, I will continue to do the work, and that is why I am the leader that the New Democrats need right now.
Thank you, Heather. We're going to move over to Rob Ashton now. You say
be
you
like
want to
even
put workers
further left
first.
than the
I have to
Democrat
mention
Party
your
in the
campaign
States.
did lean on AI to generate answers to questions at one point. I see that. How do you square that with your message about protecting workers from technological disruption?
For the last 10 years as president of the ILW, I've spent that time
we got to get rid of
defending
AI.
my members' jurisdiction against automation, against
Get rid of the
companies
robots.
that want to bring in unilateral
Get rid of the
job
self-driving
cuts
taxi.
by fighting against the Vancouver Fraser Port Authority and the Canadian government and alongside environmental groups fighting against Roberts Bank Terminal 2, which is going to be, for all intents and purposes, a fully automated terminal, which will cost 90% of jobs of a conventional terminal, which will force other employers to cut theirs to increase their
Bring
automation.
back manual cotton picking.
I'm not against automation as long as automation works for the worker. Like the egg carton factory in Brantford, Ontario that I went to, where they brought in automation and robotics that actually improved workers from 100 jobs to 300 jobs over the time frame.
I know.
Okay, thank you.
Gee, I feel like a
Tony
squirrel.
McQuail, you are last in this section. You're entering the race without the same infrastructure or national profile. Now everybody does
I'm
know
on a
who Mr.
seafood
McQuail is.
diet. When I
What
see
is
food,
the
I
realistic
eat it.
path for you to see winning, and what does success look like for you if it isn't victory?
Well, Hannah, I've run in a lot of elections.
Hey, you can
I've
always
always
head
run
back
to
to the
win.
farm if you don't
I
win.
maybe haven't always won, but I won 3 school board elections in my own community.
No, I didn't eat the bone.
And what does success look like? It looks like helping people understand the issues and the needs from a perspective that maybe they aren't already hearing. So that's one success. I always, when I get into an election, have a tiered series of what does success look like, and a whole stair steps. You ask the question, what am I running for? I want to be prime minister because I want to work with these people on the ideas they have to move this country forward. And, you know, when I first sent out my email, most of my friends said, are you crazy? But, you know, your ideas give us hope. And I'm feeling pretty despairing.
Your friends were right.
And I had no idea to get to this stage, but because of the wonderful support and the fact that some of these ideas resonate across Canada, we're here now. Let's go forward with some hope.
Three-quarter pounder. Go for it.
Thank you all for that. That was our final section. Fist bump onto the right side there if you didn't see that. Before we wrap this evening, of course, we're going to hear one more time from each of our contestants. I think everybody just took a sigh of relief right now. I think I felt it up
they're actually contestants.
So we're going to
Did you hear
hear
that?
45
It's a
seconds
game
from
show.
each of you. And
It's an
actually,
actual
Tony,
game show,
you're first
and they're
again.
contestants.
45
Okay.
seconds to you.
Okay, well, my friends, if we are to meet the current challenges as a
debate.
party, a country, and a people, we need bold change. We need the skills and
like
talents
the
of
weirdest
all
game
these
show that you ever
candidates
saw.
working to rebuild our movement and share our vision with Canadians. This is a lot to ask of one person. Canadian Quakers have gone from having a single clerk to having a clerk's table with a team approach to
I
leadership.
told you he was a Quaker.
And I would suggest, as part of redesigning how we do things, perhaps it's time to have a leaders' table to share the work and the wisdom. We need a shared vision that resonates with Canadians. I hope that our holistic goal for Canada could be that vision and that it could be worked on by the team that you have before you.
A Quaker
Let's have a leaders'
holistic
table.
goal. Oh my God.
Tony McQuail, thank you kindly for those final thoughts. Tanil Johnston, you're next.
I want it.
Yeah, as an Indigenous woman, as a social worker, I bring a different perspective to this race, and I understand the urgency for change. I've witnessed day in, day out how the capitalist system consistently and deliberately fails our communities. The leadership race is about change. It's about the next chapter of the NDP.
You forgot to mention us
and
colonial
one that isn't afraid to lead fully and boldly
colonizers.
with its values. I'm not here for a promotion. I'm here to drive change. I'd love for you to join me in whatever platform works
he's
for
a
you,
Quaker
whether it's
progressive. You're
email,
right, Mr.
Facebook,
Bill.
Mastodon, you name it, come join me. Tonight, I'm asking you to stand with me and lend me, Tanil Johnston, your first choice vote, and let's get to work.
Tanil, thank you kindly. Rob
I'm telling
Ashton,
you, I'm going to
next.
be shitting corn
We need to
tonight.
rebuild the NDP. We need to rebuild the trust that working class people may have lost in us. We have to
Corn
bring
and
voters
chicken
back.
grease.
And how? By bold solutions that impact their daily lives. By taxing the rich, cutting taxes on the working class, rebuilding industries, investing in industries, but investing in job creation. By building homes that Canadians can afford with Canadian workers and Canadian materials. And that's why I'm running, to take our
Too
power
late.
back.
Something
to bring
called
the
inflation
NDP
is
back
going to
to its
stop that
roots
from happening.
and offer real hope.
Thank you,
Because
Rob.
I'm the leader that listens. I'm the leader that's going to push our membership's decisions. And I'm the leader that will deliver.
Thank you. I'm sorry for interrupting. That was
It's all good.
You kept going.
I take long pauses sometimes.
Okay.
it was a long
Contestant
pause.
number
I
3.
appreciate you. Okay.
Hang
Abby
on.
Lewis, you're next.
Despite a few dim sparks that flew tonight, I am looking forward to getting work with my colleagues, 4 fantastic New Democrats on stage tonight. But here's why our campaign is different. You're not just voting for me, you're voting for a whole new approach, a movement that we are building together.
Oh, no.
To stop the ongoing genocide in Gaza now, for public options, a wealth tax, a Canadian Green New Deal. When Tommy Douglas and the NDP fought for Medicare, we heard all the same things. It's too radical. We won't be taken seriously. It can't be done. But Tommy knew it was what a supermajority of Canadians wanted,
Okay,
the kind
we're
of
ready.
Canada we deserve. This is how we rebuild now. This is how we start winning. And this is how we transform the country for the many, not the money.
See, I waited a second so I didn't interrupt you. Thank
for
you,
letting that go.
Abby Lewis. I learned from Rob Ashton, Heather McPherson.
Thank you. And thank you to all of you for the discussion this evening. You know, New Democrats fight for what matters.
Good point
It's
there, Rick.
because of the NDP that we have public health care, that we have pensions, that we have enshrined workers' rights, that we have a strong public service. You know, so many of the things that define us as Canadians,
Yeah, I'm surprised
things that separate us
Heather
from the
here
United
hasn't
States,
shouted,
are
Free
there
Palestine.
because of New Democrats. We have a responsibility to live up to that and win more seats so that we can do even more for people. I have a plan. I have a record, and I have the energy to hold this government accountable until we are government. I'm not getting ready to do this work. I am already
gonna be like
doing
forever.
it. And with your support, I know we can win more seats. We can do even more for Canadians. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. McPherson. Thank you to all of the candidates on this stage. I truly appreciate you allowing me to moderate the debate. Before we sign off, though, I want to acknowledge something that is truly important. Now, in these debates, I want to thank each of you, the contestants, for putting yourself out there, putting forward your vision in a political arena. Running for leadership is not easy.
Purposely eats on camera.
I can't imagine being on your side of the podium. It requires courage, it requires conviction, and a willingness to stand up for what you believe in, knowing that you're going to be tested here as well. These are the 5 candidates who will appear on the leadership ballot to be the next leader of the new Democratic Party. So thank you all for putting your name forward. Thank you to everyone behind the scenes as well. There are teams here, there are teams behind there that put this all together. So thank you kindly for doing that. It's very important for a good public discourse. Voting opens on March 9th. NDP members can vote online, by telephone, or by mail if they have requested that option. A new leader will be announced on March 29th in Winnipeg. One of these 5 here will become the new leader of the new Democrat Party.
Oh, I forgot.
Thank you for joining us. Have a great evening.
KFC dip. The hell's that all about? I didn't know they had dip. Usually only comes with pizza. Wow. That was a pretty cool game show, I thought. The contestants all fared fairly well, but I'm pretty sure that Heather McPherson, she's being polled before this whole event, this whole game show, to win the game, win the prize of being the leader of the one of the official oppositions. If they get enough seats, they might be the official opposition. Well, one of the 2 anyways. But, yeah, at the end of the day,
It can't be done, but Tommy knew it was what a supermajority of Canadians wanted, the kind of Canada we deserve. This is how we rebuild now. This is how we start winning, and this is how we transform the country for the many, not the money.
Let's see, let's bring
See,
it
I
back
waited
to
a
the
second, so
here.
I didn't interrupt you.
There we go. Okay, cut that cheesy music out of there. Okay, so that was it. That was the 2026 National NDP Game Show Debate. The contestants were basically the guy in the Quaker hat, the native lady, the dude that was wearing the suit, and let's see, there was somebody else there, but I forget. And there was Heather McPherson. And Carney's party is called the Liberal Party. Carney, the present Prime Minister of Canada. And this is I would call this the third party. Like if you look at, Carney, the Liberals got in. Then you have the Progressive Conservative Party, the Conservative Party, which is basically the number 2 party in Canada. And then you've got these guys here, which are like way down, way down, with only 7 seats. Like the other guys have, 150, 170 seats, whatever, between those 2 parties. But these guys, they only had like 7 seats, which is like really low numbers. So their chances of actually becoming the party of Canada is like extremely low. But on the other hand, what they do is they leg ride the Liberal Party, which means when a vote happens in Parliament, the Liberals don't actually, let's say there's a bill and they want the bill to pass. Well, it's going to be the Liberals against the Conservatives, and they both come in with about equal votes. But then the NDP party votes either with the Liberal Party or with the Conservative Party to either beat the vote or make the vote go through. And 9 times out of 10, they vote with the Liberal Party, right? Because Liberal Party's left, they're left, so they're more likely to vote Liberal, and they don't like the Conservatives at all, right? And the problem with the Conservative Party is you've got the, what's called, what is it? P whatever it is party. They're so low in the polls there that they hardly get any votes at all. But they're kind of splitting the vote. What is it? The PCP party or something? PCP. I think that's some kind of a drug, actually. Anyways, they're like so low that they hardly get any votes at all. But they do split the vote a little bit from the Conservatives. People in the chat here will know who I'm talking about. Yeah, the guy in the hat, Farage, the Farage party. Hey, you know, one big thing though lately is that there has been a new party in, of all places, the UK. Let me just bring that up here for half a second. That's a good point. But there's a new party that has popped up in the UK. I don't know if you guys heard about this. And it's like what I would classify as a right-wing party. Some people call it a far-right party. But the party wants to get rid of all of the bad immigrants that are in the UK, right? And this party is actually just surging in the polls over there. Like they're getting a lot of support. And let's see. I don't know if I can easily come up with any stories on that here at all. Let's see. I don't know. Usually it's in the news or something like that, but I don't see it here. Hang on. Let me just do a quick search for UK here. Hang on. Yeah, I'm going to get chicken grease all over my keyboard here. Hang on. Let me get this chicken out of here. Move the chicken down a little bit. Get that chicken right out of there. And let's see. What is trending? Politics in the UK. Okay, let's get going here on this one. See if they have any stories about it here at all. Maybe I did the wrong thing doing that. Let me see. Wow. Managed decline began 10 years ago. It began with paying off the media, increasing mass immigration to weaken nationalism. This is the what the Liberals did to Canada, and increase dependence on the government. No coincidence. The same was happening in Europe, the UK, and Australia. Right? This is sort of a thing that's happening all over the place. What's the latest in the UK here? Oh my God. Holy crap. Okay, what's happening in the UK these days? Hang on. Let me get this video up here. Oh my God. Window. Okay, hang on a second. I'll get this up here for you. What's new in the UK? Hang on. Okay, this is it. Just let me move me down a little bit here. Okay, so this is what's happening in the UK these days. This is on, where is this? Is this maybe on the London Bridge or something like that? One of those bridges. And welcome to the UK. Things are changing. Who is that? Super Salty. Roger that. Yeah, if I see you live, we'll pop in there. Good to see you. Let me just open up my studio here. There we go. Okay. Oh my God. You know, what, have you ever heard the term assimilate? Would that be nice if people, when they, immigrate to another country, that they actually assimilate, like mesh in, mold in, become part of whatever the fabric is of the country is that they're moving to, instead of trying to bring their religions and their mantras and their whatever they do, their dress, everything from the country that they came from, and try and push that onto the country that they have immigrated to. Like, that's the problem, is that in the old days, people would assimilate, right? They would become, you move to Canada, you become a Canadian. You move to the United States, you become an American. But, and hopefully when you move to the UK, you become, an Englishman or a Scotsman or whatever, Irishman. But things have changed. Like, it's not like that today. It's like completely different. It's like we're living in a brand new world where people do whatever they want to do when they move to a new country. And it's not working out. People are starting to rebel. And there's this new party in the UK. Let me just see here. Let me do a quick search here again. Oops. Let me see if I can find a story on this new party. Oh yeah, this is it right here. Okay, we got it. Here's the story. Listen to this story here. There's this new party, and there's a guy by the name of Rupert Lowe. Okay, Rupert Lowe, and Rupert has announced that he is launching a new party in Britain. Okay, so take note of this. This is important. This is important stuff. Like, you guys in this stuff have Trump, and Trump is pretty pro-American. Like, he's trying to kick out those fake Americans, those illegal aliens and stuff like that. Up here in Canada, nothing of the sort. It's like mass immigration, bring the millions and millions of foreigners into the country, and just decimate the whole fabric of the country, make it seem like you're living in some third world country. But over in the UK, a guy by the name of Rupert Lowe has started to change things, because he has launched a brand new party called the Restore Britain is the name of the party. It's a national political party, and it is really gaining traction. Let's listen to what it's all about. Stand by.
is unable to speak English, lives in social housing, claims benefits, refuses to work, fails to integrate, commits crime, or even actively hates our way of life and wishes to do us harm, then they must leave or be made to leave.
Wow. What a policy. I want that in Canada. You know, when I go to the Costco store, and I did a count on this too, 9 out of 10 people weren't even speaking English. They were all blah, 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 blah. And I did a count. 1, not speaking English. Next one I passed. No English, no English, no English, no English. The 10th person was a family that were speaking English. What the hell is going on? Yeah, this is going to piss off Brett, okay? Brett, you're not going to like this. But, you know, I don't want to be taken over, and I don't want our country destroyed. And that's what's happening to Canada here right now. You know, that probably, 1 million people a year are coming into Canada. And did you know that 25% of the people in Canada were not born in Canada? They've just come in just recently. This is getting to be like an epidemic. It's called mass immigration. There's no housing for people. There's no food for people. There's no health care for people. People are lining up for 12 hours at the emergency. It's getting pathetic out there.
Restore Britain will make our communities safe again for women and children. That I promise you. If that means millions go, then millions go.
Just look at Brett. Look at all the house invasions, the car thefts, all of the stuff going on. You hear reports in cities in BC where there's so much intimidation of the business owners by all these gangs and stuff like this that the mayors declared an emergency. And it's, who is it that's doing it? Whenever you see the people, when they catch the people, it's always some people that look like they're just got off the boat. Like, come on, enough already.
We're constantly told that the economy needs vast swathes of low-skilled migrants. We know that's simply not true.
Yeah, the government keeps on bringing in these so-called temporary foreign workers. And you know what? The government subsidizes half of their wage. If it's a $15 an hour wage, half of the wage gets paid by us, the taxpayers, and then half of it gets paid by the business. What the hell is that all about? When did we ever have a country where you have to subsidize the wages of temporary foreign workers, and meanwhile, my kid can't even find a summer job? Come on. Enough already.
What we need is to get millions of healthy Brits back into work. A radical overhaul of how welfare is delivered.
I was born here.
Protecting those.
My mother was born here.
But not funding.
My father was born here.
To live off the back of hard-working men and women. If you can work, you must work. It really is that simple. Restore Britain will be abundant.
And that's just it. They come over and there's no jobs for them, for they're not working, and they're actually getting paid more than a senior citizen that has worked here all his life. Like, what the hell's that all about? The government is paying more money to the immigrants, giving them free food, free housing and hotels and stuff like that. They get a phone, and they don't have to pay for anything. Like, come on. If you come over here, you should get a job and work and pay taxes, not to be sitting on government assistance. And a lot of them are. Look into the numbers of how many people are on government assistance.
Clear. If you consistently refuse work, then you will lose your benefits. We will punish indolence, and more importantly, we will reward success. We will provide vast economic incentives for men and women to start businesses.
And Brett, quit with the German Nazi references. Like, come on. That is so, like, when I started this channel, I said, you know what? I don't even want to use the word Nazi, the term Nazi, or refer to anything that happened in Germany. And you don't want to know why? Because I visited Germany. I visited the concentration camps. I actually stood in a gas chamber. I saw where they burned the bodies. There was a row of probably about 20 ovens that they had set up, each one of them for burning bodies. That's how many people they were killing. Like, come on, for you guys to be referring that this has anything to do with Nazi Germany is just, man, go over and visit a concentration camp and then say that.
Generate opportunities, build wealth, and create self-sufficient families. Standing here today on the farm, I know exactly what it means to deal with energy bills, labor shortages, regulation, unproductive paperwork, planning restrictions, tax, and endless uncertainty. The state has definitively become...
No, Brett, what you don't understand is that mass immigration is not beneficial for a country, okay? If it was so beneficial, I wouldn't be talking about it. I would be going, yeah, okay, I like the way things are. But things are not great. They're not great for my kids, right? One day you might have kids, Brett, and then you'll see when they try and get a job and they can't get a job. Why? Because there's so many foreign temporary workers and stuff like that that they've overloaded the whole system with too many people like that. And the bad part about it is that your tax dollars that you're paying is actually paying for half of those foreign workers' wages. That's how ridiculous this is. And the liberals, hey, they go, hey, those are going to be voters for the Liberal Party. We're bringing in more voters. They're voters coming into the country. They're going to vote Liberal. That's what it's all about, Brett. Come on, shit or get off the pot. Learn about what is actually happening that is right in front of your eyes. You don't like the right, you don't like the left, but those people that are coming in are going to vote Liberal.
Enemy of the people. Restore Britain will burn away suffocating taxes on work and enterprise. We will slash unnecessary regulation. We will dismantle bloated quangos and the overbearing HR culture. We must crush parasitic Britain. We will restore long-term, stable,
I'm the
logical
idiot.
policy,
Yeah, right.
so that businesses can plan and invest and grow
Not
again.
likely.
But Restore Britain is about
what I am, Brett, is I'm just a guy with a channel that is pointing out the obvious to all of you that may not know exactly what's going on. That's all. Okay? I'm not trying to change the world. I'm just talking about what I see. Okay? If you see something differently, get on your channel and tell your audience how I'm wrong, how I'm an idiot, and how you have better ideas. And you think that, you know, like I have never, ever heard you say what people can do to make life better, right? All you've done is just complained about certain people. You know, you like certain people and you hate other people and you want to see them like gone or whatever. It's like a negative thing. I'm negative here right now. I'm not happy. I'm not happy with what I see. I see that, and I'm telling you what the problem is, and the change is obvious when you point out the problem, right? I'm not saying, you know, send people to Germany to those extermination camps. That's not what I'm saying. But I am saying if you're bringing in too many people, it's harming the country. Stop it already. Stop trying to top up your voter base, because it's actually hurting everybody in the whole country.
More than numbers on a spreadsheet. It's about who we are as a nation and who we are as a people. Britain is not just an economy. Britain is not just an idea. Britain is not just a passport. Britain is a nation.
Tell me why Britain has to come up with a party like this if things are so great. And he's actually getting a lot of they've done polls already. I don't know if I can come up with the numbers here, but he's getting an awful lot of support. And he just started this party yesterday, and he's getting so much support. This might be the next party that is ruling Britain, the UK.
Is a people, our people. And Restore Britain will never allow that to be erased. We will celebrate our Christian heritage and the identity that built and shaped this country. Responsibility, restraint, forgiveness, duty, and fairness. In short, a high-trust society. That will mean defending our culture. That will mean resisting the relentless creep of radical Islam.
Wow. Restore Britain. You saw it. You saw it here first. This is the next big thing happening in Britain. And you know why this is happening? Because they're freaking fed up. Have you not been watching what's happening in Britain? Have you not been watching the videos of people walking around Manchester, England, some of the big cities, London, and seeing what it's like there? It's like you're not even in Britain anymore. It's like you're in I don't know, somewhere in the Middle East. It's like a completely changed fabric of the entire place. It's crazy. Railroaded, nice to see you. ABD, good to see you. Hot Dam is in there. Jethro, lots of good people in the chat there have popped in. Good to see everybody. Okay, let me change this up here. Just let me see what else I can pull up on this whole thing. Let's see. Might have some more videos on this whole thing. Okay, and you wonder why he's talking like this. Okay, why is he talking like this? This is right here. Seems like a joke, but it's not. Okay, it's what the whole thing is all about here. Let me just bring this one up here. I don't know if I can get his audio in here. Okay, so meet Mothan Ali. He's the new deputy leader of the UK Green Party. This is the Green Party in the UK. Okay, guess what party is going to move to the United States and try and take out Donald Trump? Yeah. Okay, this is a party in the UK. So you tell me, which party do you want to get in? The last guy, the Britain Party, or this guy here? Like, honestly, we're not making this stuff up. This is not a joke. It's not a joke. This is where we're at in 2026. Where's the rest of the chicken when you need it? Oh my God. Oh. What has this world come to? It's pretty sad. Pretty damn sad. Okay, here we have more happening over in the UK. Just to show you that, you know, it just is never ending. Never ending. No wonder this new Britain party is coming up.
Inshallah, time will come that there will be a law in place all over the world that there can be no disrespect to our beloved Holy Prophet Hazrat Muhammad Mustafa sallallahu alaihi
Glasgow.
And lastly, I want to say, as Brother Imam Qasim has said, that we love our beloved Prophet more than our parents, than our daughters.
Hang on. It says here, UK in Glasgow, Chaudhry Sanwar, former governor of Punjab, Pakistan, and father of the current leader of the Scottish Labour Party, Anas Sawar, calls for anti-blasphemy laws to jail anyone who criticizes his beloved prophet Muhammad. Oh my God. You know, this is what happens is that, you know, these guys get in, they become politicians, and then they start to want to enact laws, anti-blasphemy laws, to jail anyone who criticizes Muhammad.
Inshallah, time will come that there will be a law in place all over the world that there can be no disrespect to our beloved Holy Prophet Hazrat Muhammad Mustafa sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And lastly, I want to say, as brother Imam Qasim has said, that we love our beloved Prophet more than our parents, than our daughters, than our sisters, than our sons. So there is no way. The message is loud and clear from the people in Glasgow, Scotland, and 1.5 billion Muslims all over the world, that any disrespect to our beloved Prophet and any burning of Holy Quran will be unacceptable, intolerable, and the Muslims will not tolerate this. And inshallah, I am sure that we'll be able to pass the law with United Nations and with European Union that in future, if anybody commits this crime, they will be prosecuted and brought to justice.
Oh my gosh. Brett, thanks a lot for that super chat. Tucker Carlson, his latest video should be required.
That there will be a law.
Okay, get that off of there. Should be required watching for all Christians around the world. Tucker Carlson's latest video. Yeah, okay, I'll have to watch that. That sounds interesting. Sounds like it might be something like that might be worthwhile to look at. Okay, that's from Brett Boyle. Thanks a lot for that super chat there, Brett. Appreciate that. Let me just pick up the next clip here in the queue. I don't really have anything like prepared here at all. But this next one here is live here at Southwark. Smiling faces, singing, flags of our nation proudly being flown. People are fed up with the two-tier smears and attacks on British public. It's a English festival is what's happening here. This is kind of a little bit big here, but yeah, let's swipe it in here and watch this here. This is English people.
We just come from Blackfriars Bridge. We're here heading over to where the rally is, Unite the Kingdom. All I can see are smiling faces, people being friendly, waving the national flag. We've got the English flag, St George's flag, we've got the Scottish flag, the Welsh flags, and of course the United Kingdom. To be honest, some people in the press are saying all sorts of things. All I can see are people that love Britain, that are here. They're all excited. There's a festival atmosphere. We're going to be talking to lots of people. But it just goes to show, when people have said so many things about raise the flags, this is pretty inspiring. And a lot of people are fed up in Britain with two-tier policing, with two-tier weaponised judiciary, with calling the British public names. And now everyone's out and they're having their voices heard. We'll have more, but remember, we're always better and stronger together.
Okay. So there's the British people pretty much protesting, getting out there, flying their flag, showing whose country it is, and a little bit fed up.
We just come from Blackfriars Bridge.
The way that things are going in the country, and hence the advent of the British Party that we showed you there at the beginning. They want change. I think everybody wants change. In a lot of countries, people are squawking now in the UK. They're squawking in Canada. They're squawking in Australia that we've all been overrun by too much mass immigration, and I hate to be harping on it, but I'm just saying what a lot of other people are saying as well. A lot of people are getting fed up and they don't like, a little bit of, and everyone goes, oh yeah, well, you were a colonizer, or you were not originally from here and you're an immigrant and whatever. Yeah, like at some point, we came here, my ancestors came here, but, they didn't go on welfare. They weren't supported by the government. They came here, they found a job, they got a job, they worked hard, and they didn't live off of the government. But the way it is now, you come over here now, and you know what? In Canada, they're inviting people that are the T word. You know who I'm talking about, the T word. They're coming over here. They're being invited in. You've got a whole bunch of Iranians from the top government levels in Iran that have skedaddled over here because they fear that the regime is breaking up over there, and they're being welcomed into Canada here. You know, I don't think these are great people. I don't think that they should be here, but they are, and it's quite unfortunate. Not good, as they say. Not good for anybody. We're the ones that are paying the price for it. Not enough jobs, not enough housing, and really, really expensive food. Really high inflationary pressures on food prices. Over 7% food here in this month. Things are really going up exponentially almost. Not quite, but they're going up quite quickly. And you know, Carney, our prime minister in Canada, he is spending billions of dollars. Every time he gets on that podium, he announces another expenditure of a couple $1 billion, you know. And you know that Canada is broke. Canada doesn't have an excess of money whatsoever. Where is he? Every time he's spending $1 billion here, $1 billion there, $1 billion, it's already gotten over $100 billion that he's spending since he's become prime minister. And Canada has none of that money. None. We're broke. And he's sending money over to other countries, money that we don't have. Like, where's he getting this money from? There's only two places. He's either borrowing it from other countries, or he's running those printing presses like crazy to print more money. And if he's printing money, guess what that does? And I know he's printing money. That is what causes inflation. The more money you bring onto the market, each one of those dollars is worth less, drops in value. And he's absolutely doing that, which is hurting you. It's hurting me, but worse, Brett, it's hurting the children that you haven't even gotten yet. That's who it's really hurting. Your children that haven't even arrived on this planet here yet. For me, it's the kids that are sitting right over there. That's who it's hurting. Like, I feel really bad when my son, teenager, can't even get out there and get a job. He applies at a bunch of places and they don't hire. You know why they don't hire? Because they're hiring temporary workers at half the wage that they need to pay him. That's how sad this country has gotten. It's terrible. It's pathetic. And I don't like it. And that's why I'm talking about it. Let's drop that link for the panel. Maybe we need to get a panel going here. Just let me copy this link and drop it in the chat there. If anyone wants to come up on the panel, you're welcome to do so. Just let me pin that link to the top of the chat there. There we go. I can't pin it on the vertical, so if you want to come on the panel and you're sitting on the vertical, go to my channel, click on live, and then go to the horizontal feed, and you'll see the link. Click to the top there. You can take a look at that. Yeah, we're talking about East Indians there, Pooh. Too many East Indians. Yeah, well, those are all the foreign workers. And just, I don't know why did the federal government pick on India? Why all of these East Indians coming over here? There's no big crisis going on in East India to where the people are like so desperate, they're so oppressed or whatever that they need to leave the country and come over here to Canada. You know, I've watched videos of the country there. That East India is such a dirty country. It's like garbage everywhere that you look. I watch podcasters walking through almost every part of India is just completely covered with garbage. Like, why don't they just stay there and clean up some of that garbage, clean it up and make the place look a little bit nicer? That would be nice.
It's time to kick ass and chew bubble gum, and I'm all out of gum.
That's right.
Who's your daddy?
Ha ha ha. Let's play that Alberta song. I love this song. Okay, take a little break here. I'll be back. If you want to come on the panel, hit that link.
In the shadow of the Rockies, where the wild winds blow, Albertans rise up, tired of the status quo. Oil sands pumping black gold, beef on the grill so fine, grain fields waving golden, canola blooming in the sunshine. But Ottawa's taking our billions, unfair equalization gain, sending it east to Quebec while we shoulder the blame. No more pipelines blocked, no more carbon tax chains. We're done with the feds breaking free from their reins. Alberta freedom ringing loud and true, sovereignty calling, independence coming through. No more woke liberalism stealing our way of life. Albertans stand tall, cutting loose from the strife. Rocky Mountains watching as we claim our own land. Freedom for our families with a rifle in hand. Alberta freedom, let the anthems roll. We're building our nation forevermore. From the prairie to the peaks, where the eagles soar high, we're sick of the traitors calling us traitors, that's a lie. Equalization's a thief, stealing our hard-earned pay, while they push their agendas, turning night into day. Beef ranchers and farmers, grain silos stand proud, oil rigs turning profits under Alberta's cloud. No more begging for ports, landlocked but strong we stand. We'll negotiate our future with the world in our hand. Alberta freedom ringing loud and true, sovereignty calling, independence coming through. No more woke liberalism stealing our way of life. Albertans stand tall, cutting loose from the strife. Rocky Mountains watching as we claim our own land. Freedom for our families with a rifle in hand. Alberta freedom, let the anthems roll. We're building our nation forevermore. They say it's illegal, but self-determination's all right. Like Ukraine from the Soviets, we'll fight through the night. No more sending our wealth to fund their endless schemes. Our pensions rising, fulfilling our dreams. Tired of the liberals, their rules and their games. Albertans awakening, calling out our name. Canola fields yellow, beef herds grazing free, oil sands fueling futures as far as the eye can see. We're Albertans first, with hearts full of fire. Separation's the answer, lifting us higher. No more being the wallet for a broken confederation. Freedom's our birthright, our declaration. Alberta freedom,
That's right. Alberta freedom forevermore. Woohoo! Let's go. Make sure you get out there and sign that plebiscite. Unless you want to stay in Canada, of course, you have that option. Hey, what's happening in the US of A? The lefties are losing their minds. Trump is illegally deporting the illegals. Unbelievable. Trump, what are you up to? Well, apparently, no matter which side of the border you're on, if you're here illegally, you don't get to stay forever, right? And enforcing the law is not extremism. It's good old basic common sense, right? But I guess basic common sense is not all that common these days. But, Trump definitely has some common sense over there. And he's just trying to clean up the mess that the Biden administration left on his way out. Pretty much, we got a bunch of MS-13 gang members and crap like that. People, doing the R word and stealing and doing the unliving and stuff like that. It's terrible. Terrible what's happening. Absolutely terrible. What does Margaret Thatcher, if only Margaret Thatcher was Donald Trump's advisor on the Middle East policy, we would already have peace. What's the story about here? Let's hear what Margaret Thatcher would have to say about that. Okay, this is from the UK.
As Winston Churchill said in the 30s, if you give in to aggression, there will be no end to the humiliation you will have to suffer. Some people suggest there should be negotiations. What is there to negotiate about? You don't negotiate with someone who marches into another country, devastates it, killing whoever he stands in his way. You get him out. You make him pay and see that he is never in a position to do these things again. As Winston Churchill said in
there
the
you go. Margaret Thatcher giving, well, not really, but the whole meme is like, if only Margaret Thatcher was Donald Trump's advisor on the Middle East policy, we would already have peace. Why? Because he would have marched in already and done what needs to be done. But you know what? What's happening over there in the Middle East? You've got Donald Trump, who is sending all of the ships over there with the airplanes and the forces and the military. And Iran seems to be the next target. And people are just waiting with bated breath to see what's going to happen over in Iran. And you've got the Ayatollah Khomeini, the Islamic regime that has taken over. It was many years ago now that the Islamic regime took over from the Shah of Iran and basically ruled the country with an iron fist, making all the women wear the hijab and, everybody really go hardcore Muslim, whereas the country of Iran is Persian. They are Persians. They're not Muslim. But you've got this Islamic regime that took over the country, and now you've got the whole country rebelling against the Islamic regime, and they've actually unalived a lot of people. Like, I don't know what the numbers are. I hear anywhere from 10,000 to 20,000 people. I don't know what the exact number is. You go out and dig it up, but we're not lying about that. A lot of people have been unalived by the Islamic regime in Iran, and now Trump and all of the forces are heading over, ready to do something to Iran, along with Israel. So I guess this is the next big story happening. We'll watch and see what happens there. And, of course, we'll be reporting on anything that happens over there. We'll see what happens. But that's basically what's going on there. tough situation, but it is happening. Oh, what's happening in the United States? You've got more footage of PPB. That's the Portland Police Department pushing radical leftists out of the city town hall. This happened here last night, where the radicals, the lefty radicals, took over. This is actually pretty funny. I was watching a bit of that there last night. But anyways, they took over the town hall, and this is the bit here on that. Those lefty radicals, they're always at it. Oh my gosh. They took over the city hall and they were chanting a whole bunch of anti-ICE slogans, courtesy of Tommy Boy, Portland. They went crazy in there. Absolute craziness. Sun Honey. Come dog.
Fucking bitch. You a fucking fucking
Wow, nice people. Those lefty Antifa protesters and whatever their cohorts. Lock them up.
That's bad. You're really far there. Is it okay? Do you want your face shown or not shown? All right.
No. Of course they don't want their faces
So we've
shown.
got an event that's going on overseas because we're sending a whole bunch of our buddies across the Atlantic and Indian Ocean to a certain location, and I can't imagine what for. And some of our big buddies too, like the USS Abraham Lincoln.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it might have something to do with Iran. Not sure about that, but we'll keep watching the news there to see whether or not something is going to transpire. Let's see. What else is happening? Cutesy time is over. And just like that, illegals can no longer get free health care through Medicaid in Illinois. Trump just blocked a $6.4 billion for Illinois until Pritzker rescinds its sanctuary status. Okay. Oh, yeah, that's right. Trump is hitting hard at these particular cities that have what is known as sanctuary status. And let's just watch this story. As a matter of fact, the city that I live in here, up here in Canada, has sanctuary status in Canada here. So I know exactly what that's all about. And that's why we're getting an awful lot of people coming in here that ordinarily wouldn't be here. But let's listen to this story here about Illinois.
Sure talked about the challenges ahead, and he blamed the potential loss of more than $8 billion in federal funds that the state is still fighting over in court as an underlying problem.
If you want to talk about our FY 2027 budget, you must first demand the return of the money and resources this president has taken from the people of Illinois.
Republicans said Pritzker's comments seem more like a presidential campaign speech.
Governor Pritzker and his Democrat allies need to stop blaming President Trump for the problems that they themselves have created. Record spending, billions in new taxes and fees.
You talked about the challenges.
Aha, there you go. So Pritzker's taking a bit of heat there on that issue in the States. Not looking good. Here, we need a little bit of reprieve from this whole thing. Here's some guys doing some skiing here. Let's check this. Talk about extreme skiing. Like, look at that. That is like pretty crazy going down. That's definitely your black diamond run. If you've ever been on a black diamond ski run, this has to be the epitome of it right here. Holy crowley. Oh my. Right down there. I know I've done some skiing in my life, and yeah, some steep stuff like that definitely have gone down and down river valleys and stuff like that. Gone to a lot of places around Banff, Jasper. Some of the major ski resorts there have some pretty killer hills down there. Oh, yeah. Hey, by the way, the link is pinned to the top of the chat, so if you want to come up on the panel here, come on up on the panel. Let's hear what you have to say. Here's a little meme with Mark Carney and Doug Ford. If you remember Doug Ford, he's the one that came out with that hit piece against Trump. But Carney is a liberal and Doug Ford is a conservative. But Doug Ford on the right is actually a pretty much a liberal or a conservative. Well, I guess a liberal in sheep's clothing, I guess is what you'd say, right? Because he's like the leader of the Conservative Party in the province of Ontario. He's the one that said, we're going to take all the American booze off of the shelves, right? And said some pretty disparaging things against Trump. And again, so has Carney on the left. But the two of them are enjoying a nice slice of pizza there. So relaxing. I think they love each other. I think they're in love. Love is in the air. Da, 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 da. Look at this. Years after it happened, absolutely years after it's happened, and we're still seeing stuff in social media about that notorious convoy that took over Ottawa, and we're honking their horns, and we're burning the diesel and making it impossible to live in the city. The old convoy. What do you think of the convoy? Are there convoy haters out there? Oh, they're mostly banned from my channel now. Like, all the people from Catamus Rex's channel there, they're pretty much banned from the channel. This is 2022 was the infamous convoy, and I actually participated in this convoy. You either know this or you don't, but I went on the convoy. I went to Ottawa. I sat there. I wasn't in a big rig like this, but we were in a SUV, and the police told us exactly where to park. The police were giving us high fives, and they were cooperating with everybody. They weren't giving anybody a ticket. They didn't tell anyone to move. They didn't say you were illegally parked. They were actually showed everyone where to park. So, the rest is history. It was like bouncy castles in the middle of the street and fun for everyone. And there were a lot of people, like one guy in particular, Pat King, that I happened to run into 2 weeks ago in Sylvan Lake. I videoed him signing the petition for Alberta to leave Confederation, and he held my camera and videoed me signing the petition. And it's you'll see that it's on a Sylvan Lake video, one of my lives that I did there, not last Saturday, but the Saturday before. So Pat King is right in there, and he ended up going to jail, being charged with mischief, and was basically held as a political prisoner for quite a while in jail because of the convoy. But it's history now. But you know what? Years later, we're still seeing memes and stuff like that about it. So there you go. And how about this guy? Who is this here? breaking news. The president of FIFA wore the President Trump's hat. Oh, that's not big news at all. But yeah, so what? Well, here he is. This is the president of FIFA, and he's wearing the USA Trump hat there. So, hey, President Trump is uniting the world. Go figure. Needs a wig or something like that. And, of course, it's the man himself. Here he is. You'll all love him. He is the president of the United States of America. Here he is. Looks like he's in an airplane, probably Air One or something like that. And this is Japan's right-wing prime minister, Sanae Takachi. She said she is sincerely grateful to President Donald Trump. Japan is a great ally of the United States. Well, yeah, especially after U.S. bombed Hiroshima. You know, what else can they do at this point in time, you know? I don't think Japan has the atomic bomb either. I think there was something put in place there after they lost the war that they weren't able to to make the atomic bomb anymore. But they're friends again. They're friends. Don't worry about it. They are friends. Oh, man. What next? Babies are bleeding from God. Or, not bleeding. Babies are a blessing from God. We need more families having babies. Okay? Can we have more families having babies? That would be nice. Let's watch this story about that. This is like heartwarming. Okay?
It is so hard to bite my tongue when people are announcing pregnancies and engagements, and I'm like, do you not see the world falling apart and you're trying to selfishly start a family? That is.
Anyway, here's my baby girl. She's 16 weeks old. John and I cannot wait for her to enter the world and for us to meet this little human being. Are you kidding? There are always crazy things happening in the world and human beings keep going. This is how we are choosing to keep going. And some may view that as selfish, but I view it as living for somebody other than yourself. And that's what I get to do every single day with my love, John, and this little girl. I have always wanted to be a mother, and there is no shame in that. So surprise, guys!
It is so hard to bite my tongue when people are announcing pregnancies and engagements, and I'm like, do you not see the world falling apart and you're trying to selfishly start a family? That is.
Anyway, oh my God. Yeah, you're selfishly wanting to have a family. Selfishly starting a family. You know, that's the reason that the governments of the world are going, we need more immigrants because you're not producing enough babies. Well, you want to know why you're not producing enough babies? It's because it's so frickin' expensive to have a kid these days. Nobody wants to have a kid because you know damn well that the only people that are having kids are those people that are on welfare because they get the state, the government to pay for supporting their children. They don't have any problem having kids. But if you're a working stiff, you're barely making ends to be able to put a roof over your head and put food on your plate, never mind have a couple of kids to have to support. It's ridiculous. What the hell's going on? And you know what? America loves dogs, okay? So just get over it and deal with it, okay? Let's hear about the dogs.
So isn't it amazing what finally wakes people up? Not inflation, not crime, not the border, not a bunch of files. Dogs. The second Americans hear that in many Islamic teachings, dogs are considered unclean, now everybody wants to have a culture conversation. Listen, America is not a theocracy. We don't bend our traditions to accommodate religious rules imported from somewhere else. In this country, dogs are family. They're service animals. They're hunting partners. They're protectors. They're on the couch during football Sunday. That's not negotiable. And here's the bigger point. America was founded on Judeo-Christian principles, individual liberty, private property, freedom inside and outside our own home. You can practice your religion freely here, but no religious doctrine or anything else overrides American culture, American values, and American law. That's the line. So the real question is this: are we confident enough to defend our culture without apologizing for it? Because if we're too afraid to say who we are and protect what we love, we won't be who we were very long. Let me know your thoughts in the comments.
Wow. Splash. Okay. Well, I didn't know that was like an anti-Islamic advertisement there. but I thought it was like pro dogs. Well, it was pro dogs, but you know, I've actually seen that where you have an Islamic person walking down the street and somebody with a dog coming towards them, and they like scurry right out of the way. They don't want to even get close to where that dog is. I don't know if you knew that or you've noticed that, but I don't know what the doctrine is in their religion, but they absolutely are afraid of dogs, of even getting close to a dog. So be it. Yeah, we need that FAFO meme at this point in time here. Oh yeah, did you guys hear about that in Canada here? We had that this thing here. Oh, hang on. Wrong thing here. This place here. The get this. The Canadian government, they're just so freaking stupid. Absolutely stupid. They took my tax money and they invested it in this right here. Okay, what is it? A cricket factory. They invested it in a cricket factory. How much? $35 million of my hard-earned tax. Well, not all of it was mine, but some of it was. Some of my tax money, the federal government poured into this $35 million into this cricket factory. And guess what? It went broke because they didn't investigate the marketability of crickets, you know, of who is actually going to eat these crickets that they were producing. Well, guess what? I didn't want to eat the frickin' crickets. Nobody wanted to eat the frickin' crickets. The government, why didn't they eat the crickets? Why didn't the liberals eat the frickin' crickets? They're the ones that should have. But this is just another example of absolute stupidity when the government gets a hold of your tax money. Like I said, their job is to spend your money, not to save money, not to save taxes, not to lower taxes, but whatever money comes in, just spend like crazy, like drunken sailors on stupid shit like this. This is unbelievable. Why is it that everything that the government does, it just ends up being reckless, stupid? Where's those car battery plants that they spent millions and millions of dollars on as well? I can tell you about that, where those things went broke. This thing went broke. I don't even know if they sold a single cricket. And now we've got crickets running wild all over Canada, no doubt. Holy shit. I wonder if there were cockroaches there too. Crickets. For God's sakes. This was the day when remember when they said, oh, you're all going to be eating crickets. And the government goes, yeah, we're going to make sure they're going to eat crickets. We'll actually invest these stupid Canadian taxpayers' money into crickets. What the hell's the matter with these liberals? This is just absolute lunacy. Look at the size of that building. And now, well, they finally sold this factory, the cricket factory. I doubt very much if they'll be making crickets there anymore. I don't know. They'll probably be growing weed or something like that. I don't know. I don't know what they'll do. But it is absolutely the epitome of stupidity. It's crazy. Oh, yeah. Okay, what's Rosie O'Donnell got to say these days? Oh, man, what's she up to? Rosie O'Donnell defames President Trump. She says, our president is a serial beep, beep. And that's what he is. I don't know if I want to play this, but we will.
Donald Trump is saying it's a Democratic hoax.
How dare he, Jim?
Yeah.
How dare he? For every child that was ever raped by a grown man, how dare he? How dare he? We are mighty. 1 in 3 girls suffers child sex abuse. 1 in 5 boys. Those are the statistics, America. Wake up.
Yeah.
Wake up. Our president is a serial pedophile rapist, and that's what he is. And in America, you're allowed to have an opinion. You're allowed to say what you think. That's what our country was founded on.
Yeah.
Come on. Let him try to distract you with everything else, with the falling economy.
Donald Trump is saying it's a Democratic hoax.
How dare he, Jim?
Oh, man.
How dare he? For every child that...
Okay, we get it. We get it. Holy mackerel.
Hey, ladies and gentlemen, Alberta's pride. Hey, ho!
Terrible.
Out in Alberta where the Rockies rise.
Trump is taking the heat.
Screaming with fire in his eyes from a lake house glowing in the moonlight's gleam. He's the YouTube king of the widest streams. Oh, Tommy Temple, you're a great guy.
Thank you very much.
Battling trolls with a spark in your eye. Conspiracy theories, politics, and fun. Streaming.
Oh, yeah.
Come on in. Thank you. Yes, you can. Thank you. So nice. Thank you. I like her. Please.
I like him too. One thing I like about him, he keeps it real just like Grandma. I appreciate that because I can trust him because he tells exactly how he feels and what he thinks. Thank God for this president. I am filled, my cup runneth over. Because he allowed his constituents, his people to come to my house to interview me, to talk about the murder of my grandson. It seemed like nobody cared. I'm an advocate for murder. I marched, I rallied, I pulled out other families in the District of Columbia that had murders and did not have answers. Ooh. We marched and we rallied, and nobody heard me, Democrats. Get mad at me. Until this Republican sent his constituents, his people out there to interview me in my home. Have you ever heard of a thing? Then they invited me twice before Congress to testify for the beautiful bill that's going to change crime in the district. If you kill somebody, okay, you take a life, you do life. Just that simple. If you do a harsh crime, you do harsh time. Just that simple. And then we need National Guard, and which we did years ago. He brought it on. I love him. I don't want to hear nothing you got to say about that racist stuff. And don't be looking at me on the news hating on me because I'm standing up for somebody that deserves to be standing up for. Get off the man's back. Let him do his job. He's doing the right thing. Back up off of him. And Grandma said it.
Wow. There you go. Grandma's sticking up for Trump. You heard it. February 18th. Wow. Powerful little speech there from Grandma. YouTube police. Hey, good to see you. CA Productions in the house. Everybody's popping in here to see what we're BSing about. We're just bringing you the latest news from, oh yeah, there was the Bondi thing. Epstein survivors are asked to raise their hand if they were never invited to meet with Pam Bondi or the DOJ. Every single one of them raises their hand. Whoa, this is pretty powerful stuff here. Check this one out here. Look at, they're all raising their hands there.
To the survivors in the room, if you are willing, please stand. And if you are willing, please raise your hands if you have still not been able to meet with this Department of Justice. Please know for the record that every single survivor has raised their hand. Attorney General Bondi, you apologized to the survivors in your opening statement for what they went through at the hands of Jeffrey Epstein. Will you turn to them now and apologize for what your Department of Justice has put them through with the absolutely unacceptable release of the Epstein files and their information?
Congresswoman, you sat before Merrick Garland sat in this chair twice.
Attorney General Bondi,
No, can I finish my answer?
No, I'm going to reclaim my time because I asked you a specific question that I would like you to answer, which is, will you turn to the survivors? This is not about anybody that came before you. It is about you taking responsibility for your Department of Justice and the harm that it has done to the survivors who are standing right behind you and are waiting for you to turn to them and apologize for what your Department of Justice has done.
Members get to ask the questions, the witness gets to answer in the way they want to answer. The Attorney General can
That's
respond.
not accurate, Mr. Chairman.
Because she doesn't like the answer. So,
Mr. Chairman,
why
I have asked
didn't she ask Merrick Garland this?
I'm reclaiming my time, and when I reclaim my time, it is
Mr. Chairman, the gentlelady's reclaimed her
I'm not going
time.
to get in the gutter for her theatrics.
The time belongs to the time belongs to the gentlelady. The gentlelady has 17 seconds.
Thank you. You're not going to answer this question, so let me just
Chairman,
say
I'll
this.
direct it to
What
you.
a massive
No, I'm
cover-up.
answering a
Mr.
question.
Chairman, will you restore her time? The witness is
I'm not going to
interrupted.
get in the gutter with this woman.
Stop the
She's
time
doing theatrics.
and let me have my time.
The gentlelady from Washington controls the time. The gentlelady has 17 seconds. You can proceed with your final 17 seconds.
What a massive cover-up this has been and continues to be. Donald Trump made the release of the Epstein files the center of his political campaign because he thought it would benefit him. Then you got into office, Attorney General, claimed to have a client list, only to then say that there was no list. Your deputy, Todd Blanche, met alone with Elaine Maxwell and transferred her to a minimum security prison. And now you continue the cover-up, and I wish that you would turn around to the survivors who are standing right behind you and on a human level,
Chairman,
Chair now recognizes the chair.
and what you have done.
Time of the gentlelady expired. The gentlelady, you have no time to yield back. We appreciate that. We appreciate the thought.
Wow. Real shit show down there. I know a lot of people are saying that Bondi was not really answering the questions and deflecting and all kind of stuff like that. But there's a case where she tried to actually talk and she was actually not allowed to give her answer after she was asked the question. But still, you saw where the survivors raised their hands and said, and I can't see that. Like, why is it that they are not being allowed to, why can't they just walk into a police station or walk into the FBI and say, hey, this is what happened to me. This is who did it to me, and get some charges, round the people up, interview them, and lay some charges. Like, why is that can't happen? Why is it that you've got, how many people were there? 10 people that stood up, put their hands in the air, and said that they're being somehow steamrolled or blocked from survivors from saying what happened to them on Epstein's Island and in wherever else that Epstein was doing his stuff, clubs and whatever. I don't know. Can't answer that, but it is what it is. Here's one. It's just titled, if you can see the title at the top there. Yeah, we'll just leave it at that. Let's listen to what Carney has to say. Canada.
So the first thing to say is there's a big game today, and the President and I discussed the Canada-U.S. game, and of course we're all behind our team. Secondly, we discussed a number of issues, international issues. Thirdly, we discussed the bridge. I explained that Canada, of course, paid for the construction of the bridge, over $4 billion, that the ownership is shared between the state of Michigan and the government of Canada, and that in the construction of the bridge, obviously there's Canadian steel, Canadian workers, but also U.S. steel, U.S. workers that are involved. This is a great example of cooperation between our countries. Look forward to it opening. And what is particularly important, of course, is the commerce and the tourism and the voyages of Canadians and Americans that will go across that bridge. So the conversation turned to a series of issues that we will raise and we're going to follow up on. I'm not going to go into detail on those issues. These would be specific issues in parallel to the CUSMA negotiations. Final point is the President asked appropriately that his ambassador, who's from Michigan, of course, play a role in smoothing the conversation in and around the bridge. So it was a positive conversation. It's a big game today, and we're going to win.
Wow. He actually didn't say anything there other than what I got out of that is he talked to Trump. They talked about the bridge and they talked about hockey. And it was positive. It was like good vibes. The vibes are terrific. Great. I'm feeling lovely. How are you? How are you doing out there in the chat? I hope you're feeling well. Aha! Let's share the love. Can't make this shit up. Okay, and what's Trump up to? Trump has a big announcement. A big announcement. What kind of an announcement has he got? Let's check it out.
Warning, warning, warning.
Warning. Based on the tremendous interest shown, I will be directing the Secretary of War and other relevant departments and agencies to begin the process of identifying and releasing government files relating to alien and extraterrestrial life, unidentified aerial phenomena, and unidentified flying objects, and all other information connected to these highly complex but extremely interesting and important matters. God bless America. Holy. Is Trump going to release those alien files? I don't know. He might. He will. Won't he? I think he will. Let's hope he does. We want to find out more. Okay. Next cheesy bit. Remember, I've got nothing prepared here whatsoever. This is just a shit show, fly by the seat of your pants type show. Let's get back over to American politics here, where Representative Chip Roy said it without apology. Sharia is incompatible with Western civilization. It is incompatible with the U.S. Constitution and the rule of law. That's why they're introducing some legislation. Let's hear it from the horse's mouth here. Okay. Again, can't make this up, but just like in the UK, Americans are getting pissed off.
Well, thank you, Keith, and thank you, Senator. Thanks for joining us here in the lower house. Look, I'm not going to take a whole lot of time. I want to be very clear. I am proud to be with this group of Americans, of colleagues, many of whom wore the uniform in defense of our nation and in defense of our nation against radical Islamic terrorists who wanted to destroy our country and destroy what we know about Western civilization. And now that same war is being conducted against us, but from within. And anybody who's actually paying attention to this and understands the intentions of the Muslim Brotherhood and follows and looks at the writings and what these folks are talking about, Dallas, Houston, Texas is ground zero. That's why Keith Self and I joined together to create this Sharia-Free Caucus, Sharia-Free America Caucus, because we understand that the root strength of this country is our Judeo-Christian principles and the values of Western civilization that have advanced the cause of liberty, freedom, and prosperity for people around the world. And our ancestors bled and died so that we could live in a country like this. And you can believe whatever you want, but you cannot engage in what is a political effort to Islamify the United States of America and not expect us to fight back and say no. Sharia is inconsistent with Western civilization. Sharia is inconsistent with the Constitution of the United States, the Declaration, and the rule of law in our country. That is why we've been putting forward legislation. My friend Randy Fine from Florida put forward legislation to ban Sharia in our courts. We put legislation to say that we shouldn't have tax advantage status for CARE, who has direct ties to terrorist activities around the world. We put forward legislation to pause immigration until we've have an immigration system that vets people for adherence to Sharia law. These are the kinds of things that the American people expect us to do to defend this country. They're the kinds of things that we will do in the Sharia-Free America Caucus. And to stand up and let the voices of the American people be heard, that we're not going to be cowed by groups coming in and trying to make places where there are no-go zones for our women in the state of Texas. Those are occurring right now in Arlington, in Plano, in places that are strongholds and bastions of our values as Texans and as Americans. We have women, Texans, who are afraid to go to certain areas. That's not going to happen. We're not going to let Dallas or Houston or any other city in this great country become what has happened to London and to Paris. We are going to fight for this country.
The cities in the States,
and that's
too.
what I'm proud to stand shoulder to shoulder with these great men and women to say that we're going to do. And I'm not going to allow the Constitution to be, frankly, misapplied and hid behind to say that I've got to throw aside 250 years of our core Judeo-Christian principles.
Exactly why the new party in Britain is starting. People, were and the government, like in Canada here, they so badly want to bring in laws to shut people up so that they don't talk about this kind of stuff. Never mind bring in laws against it. Like over in the UK, they already have hate laws and stuff like that, as they call it, so that you can't even talk about this kind of stuff at all over there, or else they round you up and throw you in jail. And they're trying to do that here in Canada. Carney, that's why Carney is the worst of the worst of the worst, because he's bringing in draconian laws that are making it so that guys like me will end up in jail for speaking out. Right now, we can still speak up about this kind of stuff. Right now, you guys can still make laws in various places in the States. But, you've got places in the States that are already overrun where they've gotten into political party and, they're bringing in the Sharia law stuff. And people are just sitting back and watching it happen. And they sat back in the UK and France and they watched it all happen. And now they're getting off their couches and getting out there and fighting back. People have started to have enough. It's just another story in the onslaught of stories out there. But it's one that needs to be talked about. And for these people to be saying, no, you shut up, you don't talk about that, and we're just going to take you over. That's exactly what's happening. And the liberals out there are going, yeah, let them take us over. They're not exactly saying, yeah, we want Sharia law, but they're definitely not speaking up against it. That's for sure. And now you've got in the UK no-go zones, right, where the law is, pretty much enforced by Sharia law and by their own people. Even the local police forces don't even go in those areas anymore. That's how bad it's getting. It's terrible. Absolutely terrible. What's happening in Cuba? Cuba has kind of gotten to be a place that's a little bit tough to survive in for whatever reason. Well, I guess you could say because Trump is like really putting a lot of pressure on Cuba. And let's find out. Let's get a little bit of an update on what's happening in Cuba. This report is coming to us from Rebel News, the right-wing Canadian organization that all the left-wingers hate. So let's play this clip from Rebel News.
Cuba.
Not everything is... the people don't like communism. Communism doesn't work. 60 years and there's no progress. Rebel News went to Cuba.
Yes. Donald Trump nos quiere ayudar. He want to help. He want to help, but he don't want the communists. No quiere the communists. The communists is lo que
We begin with the extraordinary breaking news out of Venezuela. The country's leader, Nicolas Maduro, now sits in a detention center in Brooklyn, New York.
For his crimes against the United States, crimes for which he has now been indicted and is in federal court awaiting trial. He killed many people.
Do you think maybe Cuba would be next? I honestly think that this can be a snowball effect in the long run. Those countries can also be able to be freed.
Cuba, you're next.
It was Cubans that guarded Maduro. He was not guarded by Venezuelan bodyguards.
But Cuba now has no income. They got all of their income from Venezuela, from the Venezuelan oil. They're not getting any of it.
Estamos dispuestos a dar hasta nuestra propia sangre, hasta nuestra propia vida, pero un precio muy caro.
Que me perdone el presidente de este país, porque para mí mi presidente ahora es Dios. Y para muchos cubanos que no pueden
Is Cuba a democracy?
Porque están callados, porque es a base del sistema y de la represión que hay bajo poder.
Trump has signed an executive order declaring a national emergency and establishing a process to impose tariffs on goods from countries that sell or otherwise provide oil to Cuba.
Yo soy cubano, que son canadienses, ellos quieren saber la realidad cubana, ¿no?
Hoy en la actualidad es muy difícil. Tú vas a Centro Habana, vas a verlo, todos los basureros y las personas buscando basura.
¿Qué piensa de Donald Trump?
Mucha gente dice que está loco, pero con Cuba no está loco.
No.
The Cuban people want to Michael Rubio president.
It is a failing nation. It has been for a long time, but now it doesn't have Venezuela.
They want Marco Rubio as president.
So we're talking
they
to
like
people
Trump.
from Cuba.
You see that?
Highest people in Cuba. Let's see what happens.
Todo empezó por Julieta. Todo empezó por él. Y hasta hoy, hace más de 60 años.
Fidel Castro.
Que ya muchos cubanos no de acuerdo con comunismo porque ya no comunismo, ya
No more communism. People are hungry.
Donald Trump, te voy a decir, es un loco con dinero. Puede querer la libertad, pero quiere también sus ingresos, ¿tú me entiendes?
Donald Trump quiere la libertad de Cuba.
There you go.
A wave
Donald
of
Trump
hope
wants freedom
is
for
sweeping
Cubans.
through exile communities across the Americas. Now, the spotlight turns to the next domino in the region.
I think we're going to make a deal with Cuba. Cuba's in bad shape. Cuba has a humanitarian problem.
Welcome to Cuba, an island frozen in time where the 1959 revolution promised paradise but delivered decades of communism, oppression, and unimaginable hardship.
I'm Alexa Lavoie alongside
Efren Flores Monsanto,
reporting for Rebel News. After Maduro's fall, we traveled to Miami to speak with locals of the vibrant Venezuelan and Cuban exile communities, where families who fled tyranny now dare to dream. Could Cuba be next?
What do you think will happen with Cuba?
Well, I will hope that happens the same to Cuba.
I think it's a domino effect, and if Venezuela is free, Cuba will free.
Same as Venezuela, they want. They want out from the Castro dominant regime.
For over 65 years, the Castro regime has held Cuba in an iron grip. What began as a socialist experiment quickly descended into full-blown communism. After Fidel Castro's death in 2016, his brother Raúl plunged the island deeper into despair, a place where people rummaged through overflowing garbage piles just to survive.
A nostalgic charm masking a tragic reality. Once poised to become one of the hemisphere's most prosperous nations, it now stands as a stark symbol of failed ideology. President Donald Trump, fresh from the Maduro victory, has declared that Cuba is ready to fall and that the regime poses a grave threat to freedom in the region.
Cuba is a failing nation, and you have to feel badly for Cuba.
Will you make a public commitment today to rule out U.S. regime change in Cuba?
Regime change?
Yes.
Oh, no, I think we would love to see the regime no change.
Venezuela was the island's most critical trading partner through its oil. And now, with its supply cut off, there are constant blackouts, food shortages, and lack of medical supplies.
Recent reports indicate that the Trump administration is actively pursuing regime change in Cuba by the end of this year.
Cuba is really a nation that's very close to failing.
Citizens are indoctrinated in schools to view the revolution as their salvation from U.S. imperialism.
Freedom of expression is non-existent. Social media is heavily censored, monitored, and restricted, with severe punishments for anyone who dares criticize the regime. That's why we went undercover. We spoke directly to everyday Cubans, capturing their unfiltered voices, faces blurred for their safety, because speaking out can mean 5 to 10 years or more in prison.
Well, yeah, I know that Ezra is, he's Jewish. Pretty sure. Rebel News has to be a Jewish
Cuban
organization.
protested for their rights,
He
access
runs
to
it.
food and medicine supplied during the pandemic in 2021 saw heavy crackdown and many sent to prison.
Salieron a la calle a protestar, gobierno en prisión 30 años. Es como si mantener el terror para que las personas no se tiren de nuevo, ¿entiendes?
This was a great risk to ourselves and the people we spoke to. Our cameras and equipment could have been taken by the Castro thugs and, at worst, jailed and deported. But we did it anyway. Because in a place where speaking the truth can cost you years in prison, someone has to give ordinary Cubans a voice. That's exactly why Rebel News exists, to go where the mainstream media won't, and to shine a light on the realities dictators try to hide.
This mission gave Cubans the chance to speak freely for the first time in decades.
And if you believe in giving a voice to the voiceless, if you believe in real, fearless journalism, please help us cover the cost of this assignment and keep these stories coming. You can support us right now at thetruthAboutCuba.com. Join us as we walked the real streets of Havana, beyond the tourist facade, to reveal the truth of a life under communism.
And the growing hope that freedom may finally be on the horizon.
After hours navigating the slow bureaucratic grind of customs upon landing, we hop into a taxi, driving past rattling 1950s Chevrolet, patched together by sheer willpower, and headed towards central Havana. In just that 30 minutes drive from the airport, the illusion shattered. We witnessed firsthand the decay, even as ordinary Cubans endured rolling blackouts and fuel shortages that crippled daily life. Now the US has pressured Mexico to stop sending oil to the island, and it's only a matter of days before the regime could collapse.
It's a failed nation now, and they're not getting any money from Venezuela, and they're not getting any money from anywhere. It's a failed nation. Mexico is going to cease sending them oil. So I'd like to take care of the people that are here from Cuba. You know, we have many people that came from Cuba that were thrown out of Cuba or that fled Cuba. They came over on rafts. They went through shark-infested waters. I don't know how they did it. And that was many years ago. Many would like to go back. Many would like to at least visit their relatives. And I think we're at a pretty close point. We are dealing with the Cuban leaders right now.
On the roadsides, towering propaganda billboards in bold red, white, and blue proclaimed messages like, "We understand history. This is the revolution," featuring Fidel Castro's stern gaze. After 60 years, the revolution's promises of equality and progress clash with the visible rot all around. We ventured into the loud, chaotic pulse of the city. We wandered the narrow, sun-baked alleyways of old Havana. At first glance, the warmth hits you. Genuine hellos, bright smiles, neighbors chatting. But beneath it lies a quiet desperation, making foreign currency the only real lifeline for many. We struck up casual conversations, secretly recording when trust built, when the moment felt safe. We do ask gently, how is life here right now? With everything going on in the world and what we see on the streets? Without hesitation, people open up.
Estamos encantados de conocernos, Ibrahim y Alexa, en este momento, porque ya que somos, soy cubano, pues son canadienses, y ellos quieren saber la realidad cubana, ¿no? La realidad cubana, le voy a explicar en este momento, que todo está sintiendo un servicio de cambio de la sociedad social de Cuba. Muchas personas dicen, no, la COVID fue para todo el mundo, pero normalmente después que muere nuestro comandante Fidel, las cosas en Cuba han sido peores, porque no hay un buró político, que sepa definir, ¿me entiendes?, las situaciones políticas de Cuba. Totalmente es un engaño, una mentira, ¿me entiendes? El pueblo hoy por hoy no se siente contento, no se siente happy. El pueblo hoy se siente muy triste por las cosas mal unidas que están pasando.
Before Cuba better.
Problema de bloqueo de Estados Unidos, alimentos, ¿qué te puedo decir? Sistema político, de alimentos, petróleo, problema de luz, gas para cocinar, agua en las casas de muchos cubanos. Ese es el muy poco triste.
Just a bit sad. I'll watch that. Look at, they're still giving Castro a thumbs up.
Cuba difficult, and the police corrupt. Me gusta Cuba, pero
police are corrupt.
El nuevo presidente que tenemos ahora, Díaz-Canel. El nuevo presidente que tenemos ahora no es igual que Fidel Castro. Hubo mucho problema con medicamentos.
Díaz is not like Castro.
mucho problema con la electricidad. Hoy en la actualidad es muy difícil, es muy difícil. Ya vas a ver, a lo mejor estuvieron en Centro Habana, vas a Centro Habana, vas a ver todos los basureros y las personas buscando basura.
Look at all the garbage.
No se sabe, todavía en la actualidad no se sabe.
That's socialism for you.
No se sabe. Esto no tiene nombre. Porque en el comunismo tú ibas, comprabas en los mercados, todo eran estatales. Hoy todo es privado.
State run.
Pero mayormente los grandes ingresos son de los privados del gobierno. O sea, los hijos de los generales, los capitanes, el mismo nieto de Fidel Castro.
Alain Fidel Castro, because Fidel Castro is no good people, por ejemplo, no business.
No example, no business. Before with Fidel, no tourism business in Cuba. But you had security, medical care, and food. Now, with one president, the people are not happy. Very bad. No help for Cuban. No helping for medical care. No helping for food. Now it's a revolution. Yeah. You know what the funny part about this is? People over here, like especially Antifa, what they want or what they're trying for is to, get rid of government, get rid of industry, get rid of corporations, and just have communism, Marxism. Exactly what you see right here. This is what Antifa wants for you, for the United States. Go figure. Tourists don't like coming to Cuba. It's danger for the United States to go to Cuba now. Raul is better than Fidel. What? This is better? Lots of economic problems. The U.S. has many problems with us. And now the U.S. problems and oil is closed. They closed the oil. Because there is many places without electricity, no doubt. Without power, without oil. Difficult time. Maybe it's time to change your regime. Get out of communism.
In us, foreigners, because they knew we wouldn't report them to the secret police or use their words against them. Nearly everyone we spoke with expressed deep dissatisfaction with the
Maybe
regime.
it's time for a revolution.
They were not shy about sharing why. Many begged us to show the world the real Cuba.
Le doy un mensaje al pueblo cubano y a todos los
We give a
países
message to those that have a vision for the direction of the people. Understand, Cuba is going to be a free, sovereign. We need support. Very communist. Police don't want them to talk.
Las cámaras no funcionan porque no tienen dinero. Agentes así vestidos de civil así. Bueno,
careful who
mismo
you talk
el
to.
Parlamento.
¿Quieres
ver cómo es verdaderamente cómo funciona esto? Ya, ven para que veas.
Tú porque no has conocido. Si yo te daría a conocer la realidad de Cuba, ¿qué problema?
See the real Cuba.
La realidad.
Come on, let's go.
Conocer, tienes que hablar con el pueblo, con las personas, porque si no, no conoces la realidad de Cuba.
But the daily struggle their families endure. They described wages so low they border on impossible. Inflation has made basics unaffordable. A single trip to the store for groceries can devour an entire month's pay. Families go hungry.
One pack means you have to conserve on 1 month. If you heard me about the meal I have meat for 1 month.
Llevamos más de 40 años, ya más de 40 años, el salario mismo es por debajo de $5.
Precio, salario muy bajo. ¿Entiendes? Yo soy profesor de escuela y gano una mierda. Tengo 2 niños pequeños, ¿entiendes? Y no gano nada. nada. La situación muy dura.
Cuba wants to return to be capitalistic. You hear that, Antifa? Marxists out there?
Escuela de niños.
Communists?
Mi salario al mes es 2,000.
We've had enough with communism.
Que viene siendo en dólar como $7.
Nice car, though.
Al mes.
Al mes.
Es nada. Es nada. Yo vivo con mi familia, tengo 2 niñas, una de 5 y una de 3.
I have 2 girls,
Mis
3
niñas
boys. My daughter has been
llevan 2
drinking
años
sugar water for 2
tomando
years.
Agua con
What?
azúcar. Yo grabo para que
This embargo just happened, though. One egg carton.
Un cartón de huevo te cuesta
Cost you 3,000 Cuban bucks.
Es un salario de una. No es posible
It's not possible to buy eggs even.
Esto es cubano, pero las personas que, por ejemplo, acá te pueden comprar, por ejemplo, carne, son personas que tienen posibilidad, por ejemplo,
People can't afford meat.
de renta, trabajan en un hotel turista,
They work in a tourist hotel, but there's no tourists.
de un salario no es posible comprar porque los precios
High price.
Casi el 80% de la población cubana tiene la familia preso, porque por cualquier cosa.
They'll jail you for anything in a communist country.
Me regalaste. Ahora yo me pongo. No vendiéndolo.
Get a gift, you sell it.
Viene un inspector testigo de civil, carnet.
If trash were money, we'd be rich.
Here, 3 persons, 2 men, and the other, and one is more than 75 years. This is 3 persons. This is a more. And rice.
Not sure what he's
This one
showing
is
there.
the same Korea.
Like North Korea living there. It's like North Korea. Look at that. All the people that have to live in one room.
¿Cuántas personas viven aquí?
4 people.
¿Cuántas personas? 5. 5.
And it's not deluxe
4
either.
en medio.
Ayer fue el cumpleaños de esta.
Looks like a third world country.
5 personas.
Ah, bueno, ¿qué tú te piensas? Eso es
Can't even
Cuba.
afford to paint the walls.
Aquí.
Oh. ¿Qué? ¿No? ¿Cómo se dice? ¿Cómo se dice?
Eso para hacer un cambio. Sí, porque no se puede, no hay, no está bien. Mira ahí.
Nothing.
Claro.
No rice, no meat, nothing.
Okay.
Just water and soup. Wow.
Usted está en Cuba, patria.
Cuba is a socialist paradise. Fidel's land. See, just remember, this is what too much socialism does to you, does to a country. Just remember that.
L'économie, c'est le premier problème que nous avons ici. Pourquoi la Colombie? Parce que les salaires sont très bas. Les salaires.
Salaries are too low, prices are too high.
Sont très bas.
No puede.
And it's not just the sanctions that Trump has put on the country. They've been having problems for years and years.
Freedom of expression.
It's always been a tough life over there.
In this one-party state. Everyone fear repercussions, jail time, harassment, or worse, if caught criticizing openly. Many hesitated to be recorded at all.
No freedom of expression. No free speech. Cops get you, you're done for. If you speak against the government.
Está mucho.
Por ahí un boxing. Yeah. Es el Parlamento de Cuba.
Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah.
You probably for me. You go for maybe. Los amigos que ahora están presos.
Wow. He has friends that are in prison. Put him away for 20 years for protesting. Cubans are always afraid to protest. Just like Canadians. Canadians are afraid to protest because the Liberal government will throw you in jail. Send the horses in to trample you. That's what the government did in Canada. I know the feeling.
Bueno, anteriormente no se podía viajar a ningún país.
A ver, en Cuba, gobierno un solo partido, Partido Comunista. El gobierno, a ver, en Cuba existen opositores, pero el gobierno no lo reconoce, ¿entiendes? Como prensa privada, ¿entiendes?
You know, the only reason that they have those old cars there is because nobody can afford to buy a new car.
Lo que te hace preso político es amnistía internacional, pero el gobierno de cada cosa no te acusa
Crazy.
de una demanda civil.
Everyone is like walking on eggshells there. Just listen to them. They can't talk. They're silenced. Get thrown in jail. Political prisoners in jail. That's what you become.
Yet, trust grew. Locals invited us on personal walking tours through their neighborhoods and even into their modest homes.
You know, in countries like this, it was like that in Iran too, where the Islamic regime came in there, and the people at one point said, "That's it, we've had enough." You know, and these people in Cuba are right at that stage now where it's going to blow up in the government's face, because the people are going to go one day, they're going to go, "We don't give a shit if we end up in jail. We're all going to get out there in the streets and we're all going to protest, and we're going to storm the palace or whatever, the government buildings of Cuba, and get rid of, you know," and there's going to be a lot of bloodshed, you can imagine, because the Castro regime is definitely heavily guarded. That's where the military is, and they'll have lots of guns. And the people, I bet that the people are unarmed in Cuba. I bet they don't have guns at all. So you're going to see lots of people die, but there's going to be a revolution in Cuba. Mark my words.
They wanted the world to witness the injustices, the crumbling infrastructure, the shortages, the quiet suffering. Tourists rarely ask about these realities. They wanted us to document and share.
Esto hace 22 días exactos que no recogen la basura. 22 días exactos, porque dicen que no hay combustible. Sí hay combustible, porque ayer para ir a enterrar a los 22 combatientes en Venezuela sí había combustible.
Para mí, el cambio que necesita Cuba es más libertad, por ejemplo, democracia, ¿entiendes? Porque un país donde no hay libertad, democracia, no avanza. Porque a Cuba, turismo, pero el dinero, el pueblo.
No, it won't be a Portland protest, that's for sure.
Mentira, el pueblo hoy por hoy no se siente contento, no se siente happy.
Don't feel happy, they're sad.
Muy triste por las cosas mal unidas que están pasando.
But the humblest things that's happening, they say that everything, blockade. Not everything is the blockade. Comprenda, understand? Not everything is the blockade. Parts that are not related to the blockade. Talking about the American blockade of fuel. A lot of it is to do with the Cuban government. You know, food, for example. There's always been a shortage of food in Cuba. Communism is no good. You see that? The communists? I wish it could change. They want capitalism. Presidents corrupt. People don't have fear. Problem is, years ago, the people took to the streets. People took to the streets. They got caught. 17 years in prison just for fun. simply going out to express themselves. They protested for freedom.
En lugares buenos, el gobierno le decía, tú sales para la calle a fajarte con él por la revolución. Y si tú decías, por ejemplo, yo no es mi trabajo, yo no policía, te decían, amigo, bueno, mañana, si tú no defiendes la revolución, tú aquí no trabajas más. Obligaban al cubano a fajarse.
Wow.
Es muy peligroso, ¿no?
Bueno, en Cuba todo es peligroso.
Very
Aquí no hay
dangerous.
violencia de que vengan con
Here
un
there's no
cuchillo, con
violence.
una pistola, deme tu dinero. Pero la violencia es de los coches,
Violence comes from the balconies and the
de los
buildings.
balcones y los edificios. Cuando llueve, que sale el sol, es más peligroso.
Cuba con América esperamos que no tenga problemas porque Maduro estaba haciendo cosas indebidamente.
Talking about Maduro. He was doing things improperly. We want Cuba to be a different country.
Hay turista que pregunta ¿por qué?
Why the Cuban people don't? Not possible. They're afraid to protest. We don't have freedom of expression. We don't have demonstrations because we'll all go to prison. Cubans are all afraid. July 11th, there was a protest. They're all in jail. 20 years in prison. You know, it almost seems like listen to the Cubans. The Cubans are not happy, and they have no free speech. They can't protest against their government. You saw that. As late or as early, whatever you want to call it, as 1920, 21, they had a protest, and the people ended up 20 years in jail. These people right now, they remember that, and they're afraid to protest, even though they know that the problem is the government. The government is oppressing them. It's because of the government that Trump has put the blockades in there. I personally think that the only way that they have out of this situation is for the United States to go into the country and take the country over to help these people. Who else is going to help these people? Nobody else is going to help these people. You know that? Trump is their only savior. Rubio. That's what he's saying. Oh, hang on. What the hell is that? Oh, hang on. The wrong story came up there. Sorry about that. Hang on, I have to pick the story back up again. Don't talk, you'll go to jail. Lots of fear. Nobody wants problems. Donald Trump wants freedom. In the pharmacy, there's nothing. Pharmacy for the people. Ration card. You have to get your medicine from outside sources. From where? Can't get it from a drugstore. Maduro and Raul had drug business in Cuba. Yeah, but not the kind that the seniors need. Yeah, nobody's going. They've stopped the airplanes. There's no fuel at the airport. You arrive there, no fuel to get out. You got to bring your own fuel if you're going to Cuba. Look, got a little bit of fuel. He's putting in his 1954 Ford. That's how sad it is there. Pull the plate down to fill her up.
Se piensa que en Cuba Maduro estaba haciendo cosas indebidamente, ha escondido supuestamente al pueblo venezolano.
People knew Maduro was trafficking drugs from Venezuela to Colombia, Mexico, Chile, Peru. Many more things they're doing with the people. There are many Cubans who want freedom and want to leave Cuba. They want to leave somewhere else. Help the family. Culture, novels, film, musicians. It's very strong political, but the political system, police, corruption. Cuba is free. No, it's not. Cuba has no democracy. Cuba is communism. Communism. No good. It doesn't work. No paradise. It's a lie. Increased drug addiction. Cuba, it's like Canada where lots of people, what? Now full of drugs, yeah. That's one thing we have in common. Revolution, and lots of socialism in Canada. NDP. NDP wants more socialism. Want Canada to be more like Cuba. Impressive. Cubans have more problems with oil. It was hard. Us Cuban people don't elect a president. We no longer vote. We don't vote. They pick amongst themselves. See? It's like a dictatorship, right? People don't even have a say in who's running the country, and it's a hellhole being run into the ground. Craziness. Nobody's happy. Not one person here said it's great. I love it. Brett, how would you like living over in Cuba?
Está viendo la realidad. Esta es la realidad. Esto se llama cuartería. Aquí por lo menos 90 personas.
Your comments are being deleted, Kimberly. Uh-oh. Yeah, but remember, there's some word things in my chat there that if you say certain words, your post doesn't happen. You know, unless somebody is giving you a timeout. If you get a timeout, then your things get deleted. But I'm just looking back and I don't see any timeouts happening. I think you're typing in keywords that are not allowed in my chat, maybe. I don't know. Try using different words. Carrie, hey, good to see you. 90 miles from southern tip of Cuba. There you go. Brett, don't disrespect the German people. They've had a hard life.
Si el pueblo no, pero ¿qué pasa? Que como hay mucha represión, el pueblo tiene miedo. Aquí desde tu niño en la escuela es como un chip. Esto es una, ¿cómo se dice? Una...
School is a doctrine. Well, yeah, just like our schools here, they're being taught communist Marxism and stuff like that, that it's great for you. In our schools here in North America. How stupid is that? More than 60 years with one doctrine. And very difficult to change. Can't change overnight. Communism. No traveling. No internet. Just a bunch of garbage. Talking, it takes a lot of people to do something, and they're all afraid. In reality, we're crying. I am more of a Fidel supporter than anything else. There you go. I've always asked a question, like I said, Fidel, maybe so. If Fidel had been alive, we would be in. We wouldn't be in the situation we're in. Yeah, right.
Like American flag on their shirt.
Trump would still put the embargoes in, and if Fidel was running the country.
People love America, though.
They'd all be suffering.
Cuba like the people of America.
So if the
Need
government...
to revolt. That's your way out of the situation, unfortunately. But they're all afraid to revolt. Pretty sad. Lots and lots of lies. Raul, the government want to sink this. It says that the Americans come, they will sink Cuba. What? They don't care about the people. Cuba is very shit.
¿Está normal la calle?
Normal if the street's blocked? Yes, for the garbage. No one will pick it up because of the building. Move the rubble, take it out. Look at that. Imagine that. What is Cuba? There's the representation of Cuba right there. A big pile of garbage. All caused by communism, socialism. It doesn't work, folks. The collective doesn't work, folks. 1 month since they picked up the garbage. In the tourist areas, you don't see garbage. Oh, so nice. Except there's no planes bringing tourists in. So it really doesn't matter, does it? Government doesn't care about the trash. Brings disease, rats. Liberate Cuba. Cuban sandwiches for all. This is the people's store. Government books, rations. Nice. Month comes, a pound of sugar, 5 pounds, cooking oil. See? What you do is you get the whole country on welfare and then hand out ration cards to them. That's what's happening in Canada. They want what's known as basic universal income, right? So the government controls everything you do. You don't even need to work.
Viva Trump, Cuba no hay comunismo.
Freaking bad. Like a big prison. We, the people, don't like communism. Communism doesn't work. 60 years, and there's no progress. It's not just this latest embargo by Trump. It's been going on for 60 years. It's no different today than it was 10 years ago. Just a little bit worse now that there's no oil. Trump's putting the pressure on the country, and it's breaking. Wouldn't that be nice if they could get rid of that political system and become a democracy? Wouldn't that be nice for Cuba? Wouldn't that be good?
Sí, okay.
Man, that's bad.
Walking a quiet side street, blocks from the Capitol, a brave woman spotted our camera and shouted defiantly, "Viva Trump!" We hurried back. Unafraid of identification, she poured out her frustration. She's done with the regime. ¿Qué tú piensas de Donald Trump?
Para mí el presidente Donald Trump no es un dios como lo llaman, ni alguien Para mí no es un analfabeto. Para mí es una persona que está letrada.
For me, he is a person who is educated and prepared to lead a country that many call an empire.
Como alguien que está letrado y preparado para llevar un país donde hay oportunidades, donde hay un lugar de vida,
There is
no de muerte.
life, not
Y
death.
entonces también lo veo bien
Marco
representado.
Rubio is a good representative.
Porque es un basta ya. Es un
It's about
basta
saying enough
ya.
is enough.
No se está hablando de poder, de imperio,
We're not talking
no de
about
se está
imperial
hablando de interno, de pueblo
or
de
about
Cuba.
internal suffering.
Que me perdone, presidente
May
de
the
este
president
país.
of
Porque
this
para mí,
country
mi
forgive me,
presidente ahora es
because
Dios.
for me, God is my
Y para
president,
muchos
and for many
cubanos que no
Cubans who
pueden hablar,
cannot
que
speak,
están
they remain
callados.
silent.
¿Por qué están
Or they are
callados?
silent because
Porque
it's due to
a
a
base del
repressive
sistema y
system.
de la represión que hay bajo
Under
poder.
those
Aquí
in
sí hay
power, there is an empire of power,
no en Estados
not
Unidos.
in the United States.
No es nerviosa
You're not nervous?
hablar contra
Speak out.
la régimen.
Claro que en este
Of course.
momento ahora puedo estar
This
en
moment I
riesgo,
could be at risk,
pero yo pienso algo
but I believe for years that the
desde
empire,
hace años.
but I believe
Pienso
for
que
years that
todo el pueblo
Cuba,
de Cuba, todo el pueblo de Cuba, como tantas personas
especially the
mayores
older
que son
people
las
and
que
the
ahora,
carrying children,
personas mayores y mujeres con niños en las manos estamos hablando.
need to speak
Ahora
out.
mismo estoy en riesgo, podría estar en
Right now I'm
riesgo,
at risk. I could
pero
be at
estoy
risk,
hablando
but
una
I'm
verdad.
speaking the
Y las
truth.
mismas palabras que di las voy a repetir detrás de
I'll
cualquier
repeat them in
cuarto que
front
me
of
pongan
anyone.
fuera de cámara y
Put
tendré
outside.
doliente.
I have
Para
some
todos los
aggravation.
pueblos, por favor, que
Please,
que
enough
basta,
already.
que todos los pueblos se arrodillen con manos atrás y que solo entonces, si no tenemos valor, pueblos como Cuba, como Venezuela, que al menos miremos al cielo y le pidamos a Dios, pero que no estemos de acuerdo con ningún presidente como Maduro y como Díaz-Canel. Hombre, tiene sabiduría.
She's pissed off.
La tiene. La tiene.
She knows that Trump is their only
La
way out.
tiene. Desde el momento que
Really?
tienen que ver
They're saying it.
tan fácil que fue coger
They're
a
hearing it.
Maduro.
So don't be pissed off if Trump does something to take over
Es que
Cuba.
fue tan fácil que los
People
cubanos
want
nos
it.
preguntamos.
They want it to happen. You're seeing it. You're hearing it.
Hasta lo vendieron.
Later, we met a bicycle taxi driver proudly flying an American flag on his bike. When asked about Donald Trump, his face
There's
lit
the
up
hammer
with
and sickle on
excitement.
that car.
He spoke from the heart about
How
hope
crazy it is.
tied to stronger U.S. pressure.
¿Te gusta Donald Trump?
Ya, me encanta.
He loves Trump.
Presidente aquí de Cuba para mejorar esto.
Got the American flag on. That's amazing he can get away with that. Police don't care.
Ojalá que es de la única manera que va a haber un cambio.
It's the only way there'll be positive change
Muy
with
difícil
Trump,
aquí, ¿eh?
No, muy- Yo
however it happens.
llevo aquí ahora mismo para alquilar más de 3 horas aquí parado.
You know, but these governments, like this communist government, they're not going to bend over because they have the power. They have the food, they have the gas, they have the electricity. The people in power are not hurting. It's these people, the little guy, that's hurting. There are a whole bunch of them. The whole country is hurting, but not the people at the top.
No tengo ni para darle comida.
Therein is the problem.
Así que es muy difícil.
They're too afraid to do anything because if it doesn't work, they'll end up in jail.
El próximo país
They can't even have a protest
después
without
Venezuela.
fear.
Sí. A ver, yo pienso que en Venezuela.
But they're looking at Venezuela and they see what happened there. They know that life is better there. Now that Trump moved in
Están viviendo algo similar
the United States.
a nosotros, a lo que vivimos nosotros.
¿Cree
Algo
que,
similar.
cree que
I think Donald Trump
quiere
wants to help out here. Of course he does.
ayuda aquí?
Sí, yo pienso que sí.
I think so, yes.
¿Cree que los cubanos
Trump believes that Cubans
quieren una intervención
want
de
a U.S. intervention here.
Estados Unidos aquí?
Yo, a ver, hay muchos cubanos que sí lo quieren.
There are many Cubans that do want that. Lots of Cubans. It is what comes out on social media.
Es lo que sale por las redes, todo el mundo. Eso se ha
Now that
vuelto
has become something that has been talked about a lot
de lo que se habla mucho aquí en este país.
in this country.
Pero bueno,
Let's wait and see. Well, things are deteriorating rapidly without having fuel. So shit is going to hit the fan pretty quick.
Libertad aquí.
No. No tenemos. Verdaderamente no tenemos. Para nada.
Lo siento.
Muy difícil.
Sí.
I'm sorry.
A ver, hay muchos cubanos que lo que quieren es mejorar.
Many Cubans just want to improve their lives. But how can we this way? They're like so impoverished. No money, no food, no fuel. It's like if they had horses and carriages in the country, they would be using them. But they don't even have that.
Está muy pi. Hoy.
Está muy difícil. A ver. No tenemos mejoría.
We don't have any improvement. We're living through a very difficult time. Very difficult.
¿Tiene un familia?
Got a wife, 4-year-old baby.
Tengo mi esposa y tengo un bebé chiquito de 4 años. Se me hace muy difícil.
Very difficult. It doesn't just affect me, it affects thousands.
No solamente a mí. Miles de cubanos en este país. Muy difícil.
It's
Outside
bad.
tourist zones, the vast majority we met were fed up with communism and craved real change. A few pro-regime voices existed, often those benefiting directly from tourist dollars or tied to the system. As our journey ended, we left deeply moved by the resilience, warmth, and raw humanity of the Cuban people. They welcomed us, trusted us with their truth, and asked only that the
Good
world
on them
listen.
for talking
We hope
about
this
this, you know?
glimpse
They talked
you
under the
understand
fear
the
of the
dire
regime about
situation on the
throwing
ground
getting thrown in
and
jail.
why so many hold on to hope that freedom, in whatever form it arrives, could finally lift this paradise island from its long struggle.
Maybe,
Thanks for
Deb.
watching. Thanks for also supporting our work. Thanks for donating. But we need your help as well. If you believe that there is other people who wants to see this special report, please share it with all your friends and family and help us to spread the voice of the Cuban. And don't forget to go over thetruthaboutcuba.com right now.
And at that same website, you can chip in towards our travel costs. And also you can share our reports directly to family and friends and people you might think that want to see the truth.
Thetruthaboutcuba.com is where you can get more information about that particular story. Wow. Pretty heartbreaking, actually, when you come right down to it. Like, you know, it almost makes me feel like I felt when I was in impoverished countries visiting them, you know, like almost all of those countries, like Morocco, Algeria, Tunisia, even in Iran, you know, Turkey even, you know, like the people don't have what we have here. They don't have the life that we have here. They don't have the things that we have here. And they just live on minimalism. You know, like we don't know how good we actually have it here in North America. Things are great. They're already great. Even if they're bad, they're still great compared to life over there. And eventually things are going to change where, you know, because the people are so afraid to protest, to try and overthrow the government, the only way that things will change, it appears, is if, you know, the Americans, if Trump basically intervenes, is some kind of intervention, sends people into Cuba to just basically depose the government. And the people are all for it. Well, maybe not all the people. You know, they said, that, you know, if you're working for the government, yeah, okay, you like the government. Or if you're working in the tourist industry, of what there is, which of course there's not much of a tourist industry because they've already said we don't have fuel for any tourist airplanes leaving Cuba. So the only way that you can do anything is fly your fuel in and then have enough fuel to get out of Cuba, which can be done. But you can imagine that there are lots of airlines that are just cutting off flights to Cuba. I know that Air Canada, I think, has terminated flights to Cuba because of lack of fuel. So it's a tough situation there. Craziness. Hey, everyone. Okay, well, I think I'm going to take a break by shutting the stream down. Thanks a lot, everyone, for joining us here today. And we will see you the next time I go live. If people would come up on the panel, we'd have a panel, but seems like it's pretty slow in that regard. My channel is not really a panel type of a channel, so it's hard to get people up here. And usually when they come up here, they fight anyways, argue and call each other names and whatever. So be it. That's the way it is. And you can't make that up. So thanks a lot, everyone.
Hey,
take care. Stay out of trouble. And if you can't stay out of trouble, do what I'm doing. Just, sign up for independence. Woohoo!
Out in Alberta where the Rockies rise, Tommy Temper streaming with fire in his eyes from a lake house glowing in the moonlight's gleam. He's the YouTube king of the widest streams. Oh, Tommy Temper, you're a great guy. Battling trolls with a spark in your
Appreciate your company. This program is sponsored by Brett Boyle. Just a Girl is our executive producer. TikTok Troll is the director. Kimberly is our person that supplies all of the great clothing that I'm wearing. And Snafu is providing that wrenching in the chat, modding up. Thanks a lot, everyone that's a mod out there. Appreciate your help. Mater97 holding up the gas can, keeping us gassed up here tonight. And thanks a lot to Kentucky Fried Chicken for keeping me going. Without you, we'd be starving Marvin. See, if you guys come up and would be part of my panel here, the show would keep going. But I need help. I can't do it all by myself. I need a co-host. Or something like that. Thanks a lot, Troy and everyone else there. Jethro, he can be our executive producer. Again, this program has been funded by Brett Boyle. Thank you very much, Brett. I appreciate all you do for us. Is that it? Ooh. I think it's all over. Bye-bye. See you later.